Oh, I don't know, there's something about that woman that just makes me laugh. Well, what a week this was. Everyone asked Tony, are you going? Are you going? Tony, are you going? Are you going? And he said...
No, 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 no.
Yeah, pretty much. Then a gigantically fat man with sticky out ears who looked like... Oh, he looked like an unshaven space hopper. Or a weeble. You remember weebles, don't you? They wobble, but they don't fall down. He said that Gordon Brown was a delusional control freak with psychological issues. And Gordon Brown says, control freak? How dare you say anything about me without discussing it first? And then there was this shock resignation. It's as though they all took a deep breath and steeled themselves for the task, and then they resigned in protest at Tony not going. 6 members of Her Majesty's government. The problem was that they were so obscure that not even they had heard of themselves. You know, they call their mothers at the weekend, and the mothers are going, who? Who are they? I'll give you £1 million trillion, Lucy, if you can name any of them.
No.
No. How embarrassing to throw yourselves at the, to make a big play of throwing yourself down for this issue, and everyone goes, just steps over you and carries on talking. Awful. And then, of course, Aussie croc strangler Steve Irwin. Oh, yeah? He died after pissing off one too many animals. Am I missing something with Steve Irwin? Because it seems to me that he spent his whole life just irritating animals for both our amusement... Well, no, initially for his enrichment and our amusement. Because he must have made millions with this programme, went all over the world, seen in 186 different countries, and from what I've seen, the entire programme was him irritating animals for a living. I mean, you know, and this outpouring of grief from Australia, and I'm thinking, what are you talking about? And they're going to have a state funeral like Princess Di. Some bloke in shorts that don't come in his size, who jumped on the back of crocodiles just to make us laugh, I suppose, or to keep us through the adverts so that we'll continue watching the show. That's what he did. He just should jump on the back of crocodiles and wrestle them. That was just, it was like a circus act, wasn't he? And he used to slap snakes, and what else did he do?
He did do quite a lot of good work, too.
Oh, God, I knew you were going to say that.
No, he did. I'm a bit of a fan, I was a bit of a fan of Steve, and I watched a couple of his programmes. You know when he would do a lot of his conservation work? Did you see any of his other programmes apart from Crocs?
No.
Well, he did quite a lot of other stuff. And I saw somewhere he was taking away some water snakes from an area that they kept attacking people, fishermen. And it was a big deal to get rid of them. But obviously, as soon as you touch the water snakes, they're more vicious than any other normal snake. So it would be kind of jumping around.
Yeah.
But they did manage...
But he didn't do what you would normally do in such circumstances, just put them straight in a box and, you know, ferry them off to where they would be better suited. He toyed with them and irritated them on camera for our pleasure, right?
No, not so much with these ones. He really didn't. And they had to get the milk of this snake to get the antidote for it.
Is that where you get milk from?
But that was more interesting, I thought, than when he just goes around and says, "Oh, look at this one.
Crikey, mate, look at that.
He's really angry, this one."
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was better.
I thought that South Park had it absolutely right. Did you see the South Park episode when they took the mick out of Steve Irwin? And he said, "Oh, crikey, mate, there's a croc. I'm really going to piss it off." That was pretty much what he did. You saw clips of him leaping on a... And every still photograph has him picking up a crocodile.
Yeah. Right?
And he's strangling it or wrangling it or whatever he is that he's doing with it, but it's not natural for a crocodile to be picked up, manhandled, for a photograph, is it? It's just not normal.
No.
I mean, David Attenborough wouldn't do that. Although they used to, David Attenborough used to just be a voice, a whispering voice. Oh, look, here we are, the Matabelean tree slug eating bat guano. Isn't that fantastic? That's what he used to do. But in the last series, they stuck him in the action. And I wonder if that had anything to do with him, and it was just the director saying, over here, sit in this field of ants. Because it would be a close-up on ants, and then it would pull back, and there he was, and there he was, pointing at it with his finger, just sitting here, whispering away. Yeah, but You know the feeling that he didn't interfere with the animals.
No,
he
was
just
observing,
showed
yeah.
exactly. Whereas Steve Irwin was getting right in there, mate. Like it was a party, like it was fun. And I always thought, well, you know what? The animals don't think it's fun. And, yeah, like I said at the beginning, he irritated one too many animal.
But aren't they having a national khaki day for him?
Yeah, I think they've done that.
Yeah.
Everyone's wearing the khaki.
Yeah.
How ridiculous.
Can you imagine that happening here?
No, I can't. I mean, I've not been to Australia. I'd love to go. I've met a precious few Australians I didn't like, apart from the dope who was shouting in the street this evening just before I was trying to have a nap, and some bloke, well, you know, there's a perfectly good doorbell to our building, and so he pulls up in his car and he just stands in the street and shouts. You know, there's quite a few flats where I live, and he just shouts in the street till he gets the attention of the person that he's going out to have a drink with.
But it worked.
Yeah, well, it did,
Eventually.
yeah. But, you know, a doorbell, that's what we use over here. You know, perhaps they haven't invented electricity in Australia yet, but that's what we use. I'm going to write him a note. But I met precious few that I didn't like.
Yeah, no, I like the Australians, actually. I've been there as well, and it is a beautiful country, but you have to kind of travel around a bit.
But it does make you think they don't really have many public figures if they're crying over Steve Irwin. I mean, what would our equivalent of Steve Irwin be? And it wouldn't be Richard Attenborough, because he's way above him. He's way out of his league. It would be Bill Oddie.
Bill Oddie?
Yes, of course, Bill
No.
Oddie, the Twitcher. Or the guy with the beard, David Bellamy.
Bellamy, yeah.
So if David Bellamy died, would we all rush out and... Or
No,
would we not shave and have a beard? No.
No.
Because we've got so many more... I mean, can you think of Australian heroes in the media? People that you've heard of. Exactly.
Not really.
You're going... Yeah, everyone's going, Australian, Australian musicians. Well, you'd immediately think of AC/DC, but they were from Glasgow.
Yeah. Did you see the way they got all the famous Australians here to quickly make some comments about it as well? Jermaine Greer was quite damning of Steve Irwin's
Was she?
behaviour. Oh, yes.
Oh, she's very contrary-wise. I like
yeah.
Jermaine Greer.
She had a good old bash, yeah.
Like, what was her problem?
Well, the same as taunting the animals.
He was a
but it wasn't
man.
on.
She absolutely
Yeah.
hates men. Well, no, she doesn't, does she? I think that was, she had, I don't know anything about Jermaine Greer, but I think she hated men in the first place, and now can't get enough of them now. Or I might have that completely the other way around, and I don't really care. But, you know, I think she's gooder. And so they had Jermaine Greer, and then they ran out. They tried to get Sir
No.
Les Patterson.
There is that other DJ as well that they often...
Hey!
Do you know
Who?
the one I'm talking about?
Alan Freeman. He was Australian.
No, it's not him. Jono.
Oh, Jono.
Yeah.
Oh, right, the professional Australian.
Yeah, and those are about the two Australians that I think I heard.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, I believe so.
Talking of space hoppers.
Oh, that's cruel.
That's
cruel.
Well, it's a breakthrough in medical science. He's still alive. Amazing.
I shan't comment on that. No way.
Anyway, so there was a lot that happened this week, and a lot of it was really bad. Did Jesse James get shot on Moss Side? Was that the guy's name, Jesse James?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so. Huh. Did anybody in the studio get shot or stabbed this week? Because is it me, or is there just is the preponderance of this just gone through the roof? Not just it hasn't sort of gradually started getting more and more. Just lately, it's gone insane. It's just like the last few months.
Someone has got bashed over the head in my street.
Really?
That's nice, isn't it?
Why is that?
No reason at all, but it's made the head of our webpage, of the webpage of news for our area.
You've got a web page in your area?
Yeah, there's from nearly every area in London there is one. Yeah.
What from the council?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. No, it's not made by the council, I don't think. It's made by, I guess, by local residents who do it.
Really?
Yeah. You have to see if there's one for your area. There's one for Chiswick. There's one for Brentford. There's one for most areas that I've looked up.
And detailing what?
Well, it's actually very useful. All the sort of good builders to use in the area who don't rip you off, and people can write comments, and you can look that way, and the local news going on, and what's happening with the recycling in your area.
So these aren't. This isn't an umbrella web page that someone's had the genius idea of doing some sort of local thing, and you go to a person's company.
No.
And from there you get to your own little local one. These are all individual ones.
Yeah.
Right.
It's quite good, though, because lots of people recommend good things in their area, bad things.
But then if it's not, it doesn't come with some sort of stamp of approval or authority, then you could set up your own. If I was, I wanted to make myself a plumber, for instance,
Yes.
I could set up my own website and say, hey, guess what? There's a fantastic plumber in the area.
Yeah, Nick's really good.
You'll
Go
only
to
come
Nick.
round once, but you'll only want him to come round once.
Yeah, well, now you're ruining the image of my website that I like.
But it made the news on your website,
Yes, it did.
but not anywhere else, because we've got bigger fish to fry everywhere else, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Sad.
It is sad, yeah. What is the world coming to? And that's a direct question to you, Alex.
Don't know.
Right. More insight coming up.
Reasons to buy a DAB.
Hey, John.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
Oh, God, here we go.
Oh, hi. I wonder, do you like football?
Do I like
Football.
football?
Yeah,
Are you saying football or fitball?
football.
Foot-
Football.
Hey, that almost... do you think that's worth a... or not?
Yes.
That's just common knowledge, isn't it? Yes.
Oh, what team do you support?
I don't.
You don't support the team?
No.
Oh, but have you got a favourite team?
No. Is that kind of the same question? Support and favourite?
No, but, like, what team do you...
Support. We're running around in a tight circle here, aren't we, John?
What team do you think's the best?
Well, I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I would support England. How's that? That's not the answer you were looking for.
Oh, yeah. What's your favourite sport? Is it football, or is it something different?
Well, it depends on what you mean by favourite. No, favourite to watch or favourite to do?
Favourite to do?
To do, I would have to say, even though I haven't done it in about 150 years now, skiing.
Oh, skiing.
I don't believe there's a better sport that's ever been invented than skiing. To do. To watch, really boring. So my favourite sport to watch would be football, and to do would be skiing.
But you can break your legs doing skiing.
You can break your legs playing football. Just ask Alan Smith.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Or Bust.
oh yeah, true.
B-U-S-S-T. I can't remember his first name, but his second
George.
name was... Was it George?
Yeah,
George Bust. Good one. You said that without even meaning it. That was excellent,
I'm
John.
a number one football fan. If you ask me any question, I'll get it right.
All right. Hey, do you want to pitch in here, Alex?
Yep.
This is the time to admit that I don't know much about football.
Don't know much about football, eh? We can't... Between the two of us, between the three of us, Lucy... Between the three of us, we can't come up with one question to stump this 3-year-old child.
Oh, come on, we must be able to.
This is awful.
I'd like to know Bust's first name for starters.
Yeah. But he's the guy that bust his leg, and that's why it sticks in the memory, because it's Bust.
What's Peter Crouch's girlfriend's name?
That's nothing to do with football, Lucy.
Still a question.
We
Football
withdraw
side,
that question, John. So who do you support?
Arsenal.
Arsenal, right.
But I know something about Peter Crouch's girlfriend. It was in the newspaper. He cheated on her. He cheated on him
Right.
while he was in the World Cup.
I seriously doubt that. She cheated on him while he was in the World Cup. Did that happen, Lucy, the expert on cheating?
I believe it did.
It did?
John's correct.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. Well, so you're one up.
Yeah.
We have... Oh, come on, this is ridiculous. There must be one question that we can come up with to stump this child. How about a listener calls in with a question? Or would that be cheating?
No, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that is a good idea. So hang on there, John.
Okay.
All right. Now, if he gets it right, there should be some sort of prize involved, yes? What kind of thing would you like? Mug? Mouse mat?
Xbox 360.
He wants an Xbox 360. Do we think he's going to get that?
No.
No.
Dave's got a question for John.
All right, well, so that would be Do you want to do that for me?
Yep.
Get him up at the same time? Alex? There you go. Hey, Dave.
Hi, Nick.
Right. What's your question for John?
Who play at Fratton Park?
Who plays at Fratton Park?
Portsmouth Football Club.
Well done.
Huh.
Who
What-
play at Roots Hall?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Only one question per caller. Okay, here it is. If the person who stumps him gets a prize, and if John can answer 5 questions in a row, then he'll get a major prize. And Lucy's going to have to come up with some sort of major prize. He wants an Xbox 360.
I can't really rustle that up.
No. We've got pens and... What have we got? Pens and mouse mats?
We could give you an LBC pen, an LBC mouse mat...
Yep.
An LBC mug, and I might be able to rustle up an LBC fleece for the winter nights.
No way, we've got fleeces.
I believe we have.
I don't have a fleece.
Would you like one?
Yes, please.
But you've got to get the questions right, too.
All right, how's that sound, John?
Yep, that's fine.
He's not happy. All right, well, hang on there. Do you want to pull up another one? I don't know. I don't feel physically competent to actually do this part of the, the technical part of it. Who have we got there, Lucy?
No one at the moment.
No one? Oh, you're kidding.
But
There's
I've got another question from somebody else who wouldn't come on.
0870 9090 973. For anybody that can stump this child, he's about 3 years old. Is he gone? He's gone too. Oh, this isn't going very well at all, is it? I think either you cut him off or I did. Anyway, let's go back to Steve Irwin. Well, you to try desperately and sort it out. What's going on in there, Luce? Hey, Luce.
I've got another question.
Yeah, but the kid dropped off.
I know. I'm going to get John back.
and I was hands off at that moment. That had nothing to do with me. I didn't lose him. It was you two. You two are dragging this show down, and it's like that bloke in the water. I'm like that bloke in the water, desperately.
He's back.
Desperately trying to paddle, and I'm in the water for 48 hours, and then it turned out he wasn't in the water at all. He was strolling along Portsmouth or somewhere like that. What a story that is. The effervescent crocodile hunter died as he lived, getting perilously close to the lethal and exotic creatures while performing in front of the camera. And I think that was the key right there. He was performing in front of the camera, and stingrays don't like that. Is he back?
Yeah.
All right. I'll bring Steve Irwin back after we've dealt with this. Hey, how old are you, John?
11.
11?
Yeah.
Got a question for him, Beryl?
Yes.
Go on.
Who held on to the FA Cup longest without a break?
That sounds like a question from ancient history.
Was it Manchester United?
No.
Or Liverpool?
No.
Nottingham Forest?
No.
I think you've had enough guesses there, John. What is the answer, Beryl? I may or may not allow it.
Portsmouth.
In what year?
Won it just before the war and held on to it
for
4 years.
I'm afraid I knew you were going to say something like that, Beryl. That's ancient. The boy's only 11 years old. Give him a break.
I didn't know.
But anyway, thanks a lot. All right.
Okay.
Ta-da. You're still in the game, all right, John?
Okay, thank you.
Because that's unreasonable to ask you about history from before the war. Because you don't learn about history in school these days, right?
Yes, that's right.
That is correct, isn't it? What do you learn in school, by the way?
Well, with English, maths, science, PE, geography, music.
Do they in maths? Do they teach you the multiplication tables?
Yeah.
Do they?
Yep.
All right. Now you've had one correct answer. For a second correct answer, what are 6/8?
6/8 is 48.
48 is the right answer. I think that's the only time I've ever asked that question. I always ask the same one. I think, in the years of me asking that question on the air, staggering as though it might seem, that's the only time anyone's ever got that right. It is, so you got 2 right. You're doing fantastically well. Hey, Stephen.
Hello. Which 2 Premiership teams played at Selhurst Park?
Crystal Palace Football Club.
And who?
Sorry?
There were 2 of them. 2 Premiership teams played there. Which ones?
Crystal and Watford?
No, Wimbledon AFC.
Oh, okay.
Well, that was half right. So I think he's still in the game. We're going to have to give him a bit of leeway, because otherwise it would seem to be unfair. I mean, he's only 11. So anyway, thanks, Stephen. That was an excellent question. Of course, I've got no idea whether these questions are right or wrong. They're just coming along and saying it, and I'm nodding my head sagely, saying, yes, that's right. Right, who's next? Lucy Lou?
Daniel.
Daniel. What's your question? What's your question, Daniel?
Which Bulgarian team did Dimitar Berbatov play for?
I didn't hear a word of that.
Sorry?
Which what?
Bulgarian team did Berbatov play for?
Berbatov?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Spurs striker.
A Spurs striker. Which Bulgarian team did Berbatov play for before he came to Spurs?
No, before he went to Germany.
That seems an unreasonable question as well. Doesn't it? I mean, that's an excellent question, Daniel. I've got no idea, and neither has anyone else, probably including the player that you just mentioned.
I've never heard of Berbatov.
No, I think that's unreasonable. We had to be more general knowledge. Come on, the guy's, he's barely out of nappies. Anyone else? So what do you learn in geography then?
About the climate and global warming.
And what are they telling you about that?
And about, the Earth is getting warmer and the polar ice caps are melting.
And do they tell you why?
I think it's because of the pollution.
Right. Is that what they're blaming it on, the pollution?
Yeah.
Cars and,
Yeah.
Right,
People should use the buses instead of...
And do they give you tips on how to combat that, or do they just tell you like it's a fact?
Yeah.
Like what? How do they give you tips in your everyday life that you might, help out? Or would that be not something that they would touch on?
Yeah, nothing that would touch.
Nothing like that. Nothing actually helpful. Okay. Okay, Luke, what's your question?
It is, how many times have Chelsea won the English League?
3 times. Well, they've won it twice, the brand new Premiership League, but they've won it 3 times, about 51 years ago, so 3 years.
1955 they won it, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Wow, that's 4 right by my reckoning. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4 yes? John, you are doing fantastic. One more question, and then we're going to lose you forever. And your prize rests on this. And so, just to recap, it's a mouse mat, a mug, and I've forgotten what the rest are. You might even get a fleece, size extra small.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Who have we got, Luce?
MC Blizzard.
Oh, God. Hey, it's Vanilla Ice.
Hello.
What's your question?
How much did Everton pay out for Andy Johnson?
I think it was 8.5 million.
Wrong.
How much?
8.6.
8.5 will do for me. John, you are a winner. Outstanding.
Hey.
He's overcome with emotion. Stay right there, all right.
Yep.
He's not pleased at all. Are you even remotely happy after all that?
Yes. Yes, I am. I'm very happy.
Right, and
I'm ashamed that I didn't get the Xbox 360 though.
Believe me, you were never going to get that. And you're never going to get it from your parents either. Santa Claus is not going to bring it for you. Is that clear?
Halifax regular saver pays 7%!
7090900973.
You're wondering what it's all about, and I can't tell you because I don't know myself.
Teenagers are sulky and inconsiderate only because their brains are going through a period of rapid change, researchers found out this week. They've found an excuse. It's actually an excuse they've come up with for teenagers moping about going like that. Clean up your room. Gonna. Like that. Tests have shown humans do not fully develop ability to empathise with others until adulthood, possibly explaining why adolescents often live up to their surly, selfish stereotype. Brain scans show that teenagers hardly use the area of the brain that analyses other people's emotions and thoughts when considering a course of action. In other words, they don't think about what they do, how it will affect other people. Because their brains that part of their brain isn't wired up yet. And they've actually, the parts of the brains have names. Adults used the brain area towards the front of their heads, which is where they keep their brains, called the medial prefrontal cortex. Adolescents use the superior temporal sulcus. Can you believe that the first syllable of the part of the brain they used is sulk? Isn't that great? Dr. Sarah said, who is a cognitive neuroscientist from the Institute of Cognitive who's a cognitive neuroscientist from the Institute of Cognitive Neuroscience, University College London, who led the work, said that society, and this is the part that really frightens me, society should be slower to hand out ASBOs to teenage boys because they are not wholly responsible for their actions. Shut up, Dr. Sarah. Seriously. Yes, they are. Isn't it? I mean, and it's not just teenagers who do that. It's like I said, this bloke who is, you know, he's a fully grown adult. He arrived in a big family car, and he just stood in the middle of the street and shouted in front of this big block of flats until he got the attention of somebody inside that he was going out to the pub with. What an idiot. I mean, it's not like it was 100 floors up. It's, you know, and the lift was broken and the doorbell didn't work. He just stood there shouting until he got their attention. Moron.
Do you not remember feeling different, though, as a teenager?
No, you know what, I think I am going to get into heaven, regardless of what regardless of the, various incidents in my life, because I'm generally a thoughtful and considerate person.
And you were throughout your teenage years?
Yeah, playing music really loudly, without regard for anybody else, is just not something that I felt comfortable with. Because if I turn music up, I can't actually really enjoy it unless I know that I'm not disturbing anybody else. Because in the back of my mind, it just feels uncomfortable.
Did you not feel a bit
And
sulky?
that's my, hang on a minute. And that's my...
Well, that's your,
my medial prefrontal cortex coming into play, yeah. And I was thinking that at the time. I thought, that's, that feeling I've got in the back of my mind? That's my medial prefrontal cortex, I thought.
You must have been one of the most mature teenagers ever.
I'll say.
Oh, I think most children feel quite angsty. Quite sort of just cross about everything all the time.
Well, yeah, but...
Fighting adults.
Yes, but then you have to fight your parents in order to fly the nest. I mean, that's just part of growing up for humans and monkeys and dogs and any kind of species. That you have to be expelled from the nest, don't you?
Yeah.
But that's less to do with considering other people's welfare in regard to what you're doing.
Yeah.
The courses of action that you take.
I just think that you're completely sort of obsessed with yourself, aren't you, as a teenager? You sort of just think everyone's out to get you and make your life difficult.
Yeah.
A bit.
Whereas, in fact, that only starts happening in adult life when you get into the media.
And then you're too tired to fight it.
Yes. There was a study about names this week, and what names are most likely to be criminals.
Oh, I know this, yeah.
The police forces are inadvertently named and shamed as local criminals, and then linked them to the crimes that they're most likely to commit. The list was compiled by statisticians following a request under the Freedom of Information Act. Are they actually giving out information under the Freedom of Information Act? That's a surprise to everybody, isn't it? They now know that the area's top 10 bad boys are named in order: James, Michael, John, Paul, Stephen, Anthony, David, Thomas, Lee and Christopher. And that's not necessarily just a factor of them being the most popular names, because that would fit, right? If James happened to be the most popular name, then it's more likely than not that they would also be the most criminal. But they seem quite posh names, though. James, Michael, Anthony. Not like, I don't know, what do...
Go on, you say the names first that you thought might...
What do chavs call their babies now?
Wayne,
exactly right, yeah. Who else?
Waynetta.
And now I've become unstuck because I don't really have much knowledge of these people that appear in Heat and in the middle pages of The Sun. There was a double-page spread in The Sun today of, I think it was a threesome that was going on, and it was a man and a woman and another bloke, and I had got no clue who these people were. And it was a double-page spread, so they were obviously people that, the nation has heard of. And I'd got no idea who they were. I feel out of the loop.
Of course, if you read The Sun all the time, you'd know that.
I do read The Sun all the time.
Oh, just not the middle page bits.
Well, I do feel that I do read it all, but maybe my prefrontal cortex switches off when I read.
If you switch to that middle bit,
yeah, I know.
Then you'd know.
The sulky part. So they are James, Michael, John, Paul, Stephen, Anthony, David, Thomas, Lee and Christopher. Those are the bad boys' names. Women most likely to find themselves in the cells: Lisa, Paula, Samantha, and its name's only with A right there. Natalie, Emma, another A, Sarah, which is an A by any other means, Claire, Gaynor and Kelly. Men called James are more likely Jimmy, have a propensity for theft. Why do you think they call it jimmying locks? It's for that very reason, because most people who do it are called Jimmy, and are not averse to drug offences and a spot of violence. That's James or Jimmy. You ever meet a James or a Jimmy, you should take 3 steps back and make sure your doors are locked. Michaels are the biggest drug offenders. Lees can't stop setting fire to buildings, and Stevens and Thomases vie with each other over the number of houses they can burgle. Those with wives or girlfriends called Lisa should tread warily. 4 of the 5 convictions for women of that name are for violence. 4 of the 5 convictions for women called Lisa are for violence, Lucy, which is pretty close.
Actually, lots of people often think I say my name's Lisa.
And then they're screaming and running in the opposite direction.
It's frightened to death of me.
Dion is the most popular name for a fraudster, while variation in spelling can sometimes prevent someone from embarking on a life of crime. Thus, Stevens with a PH are twice as likely to be villains as Stevens with a V. I mean, these are statistically significant results here, so it's not just making this stuff up. And it's from Liverpool, right? Yeah, Merseyside. So they've got a lot to choose from.
Does a Nick feature?
No, not at all.
Ooh, that's good.
Bernard, the Christian name of the Merseyside Forces Chief Constable, also records a solitary offence relating to drugs. Perhaps the most surprising statistic is that in a city teeming with Waynes, only 8 men with such a name feature in the research. Here's a bloke with a name that doesn't feature in the research, Mark. Hey, Mark.
Hello?
Yes, Mark.
Oh, hello, Nick. Good evening. You know them names you just read out? I thought it was interesting that when they go to court and they say, please state your name, they say James whatever, but in actual fact, he's probably called on the streets Jimmy, or like Michael might be called something like Mick the Brick or Dodgy Mick. So the names, the actual names, if you read them out, some of them I probably could put their criminal names to them, perhaps.
Well, if anybody has a middle name that's the definite article, if anybody has a middle name that's then you know they're a criminal, and probably Italian.
Yeah,
Nick the Knife, that sort of thing.
What were some of the other names? I can't remember them all.
They're quite common, actually. James and Michael, John, Paul, Stephen, Anthony, David, Thomas, Lee and Christopher are the blokes.
David is obviously Dave, isn't he?
Must be, yeah.
Everyone knows someone a bit dodgy called Dave, Dodgy Dave.
Anthony would be Tony, which gives us all pause for concern.
Tony, yeah, exactly.
No Gordon.
Gordon?
There is no Gordon in this list, no.
No, exactly. Or Mark, thankfully.
and no Wayne, either. What do chaps call their babies now? There must be somebody in a soap or something like that, because it used to be Kylie, didn't it?
Did it?
Well, yeah, I'm sure, because it's just the most famous person in, in society at the time. That's what 16-year-old girls on council estates call their bye-byes. And it used to be Kylie and Jason.
I don't know.
And now it'll be Wayne, and I can't think of anybody else, because I'm not in touch with, what's going on.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I don't know if any other listeners wanted to phone up with some of them names that you just gave and their criminal versions.
And their criminal records, yeah, that would be excellent.
Just because someone's called James, his mother calls him James and calls him James, but on the streets, I'm sure he's called something, Jimmy the Bad Boy or something.
Something like that. But you can rest easy, you're not on the list, Mark.
No, thankfully.
All right, but thanks a lot, all right.
Thank you, good night.
Of course, I didn't ask him about his criminal record. Here's one called, oh God, it says Conference, and it's gone bright pink. I know, I've never seen that colour before. Hey, Ginny.
Oh, good evening, Nick. I was reminded of your saying you didn't recognise the people in the paper today. When I pick up these magazines, when I see them at the dentist or the doctors, I'm absolutely stunned by the number of people I simply have never heard of. I recognise the name of that footballer who lives in Spain now and his anorexic wife. I don't ever seem to know any of the others. All these celebrities, who get to be celebrities, I don't know why.
Well, they continue to be celebrities long after they shouldn't be. I think that's the problem. We're clinging on to them because we don't have any major celebrities of our own. Because it used to be Princess Di, who was the default story for any publication on a slow day. Yeah. They just put Princess Di's new haircut. But now there is no one of that ilk anymore. I mean, they tried it with David Beckham for a while, but now he's gone abroad and he's not so newsworthy. And so they're a bit floundering around. And so instead of one huge star, they've got a lot of tiny little ones, many of which won reality shows many years ago and really shouldn't be thought of anymore.
They seem to have been in the Big Brother house, and since I never look at that, I don't then recognise the name of any of them, except Jade Goody, is it?
Yeah.
A fat woman who
Jade
does all
Goody
sorts of things and makes a lot of money.
is the fat woman. You tell it like it is. Posh Spice is the anorexic one, and Jade Goody's the fat one, yeah. That's quite right. It's a shorthand.
Yes.
But my advice is don't pick up those magazines. Don't sully yourself with it.
But when you've nothing else to read...
Well, I suppose so. And you're trying to take your mind off visiting the doctor
that's
or
right.
the dentist
Yes.
and just flip through anything that's colourful. Yeah. All right, thanks a lot, Ginny.
Bye.
Ta-ra. This is El. Have you come up with names?
I've got you some chav names.
Okay, great.
Do you want me to give you some? Boys or girls?
Let's have the girls, shall we?
Okay. The one that came up with the most dread, I think, was... Oh, hang on. Storm. Oh, you can have anything from Storm to Nokia.
Storm? Nokia?
Yeah. Chelsea, nasty and spiteful.
What?
Chantel,
Nasty?
spawn of the devil.
Spell nasty.
Nasty.
Spell it.
Nasty. N-A-S-T-Y.
Somebody's called their baby
No,
nasty.
in brackets. That's what people think of the name, Chelsea and Chloe, to sound like.
I don't know, Chelsea is quite posh, isn't it?
Yeah, but this Chelsea is spelled C-H-E-L-S-I-E or C-H-E-L-S-E-I-G-H.
Oh!
Yeah.
That's awful. Now, is it because they actually preferred that spelling, or they just don't know how to spell Chelsea?
Well, probably the latter.
Or
Courtney,
Jose Mourinho would sue them for using his copyright.
Courtney, C-O-R-T-N-I-E, trouble, in brackets. Danielle, a nightmare. And so it goes on.
Kaylee, Keely, Kira, Kimberly, Kylie. See, Kylie's still in.
Yeah.
Leanne. Oh, there's just something really awful about Leanne, isn't there? No, forgive me if any Leannes are listening, but it's a little bit country, it's a little bit rock and roll, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Leanne, Lulu. Lulu. Mia Page, Poppy. Poppy?
That's not... I don't think Poppy... I know quite a few posh Poppies.
Well, didn't Bob Geldof call his daughter Poppy or something?
And Peaches, yeah.
Peaches. What is it with rock stars and famous people in general who can't call their children a proper name? I mean, it seems like cruelty to children to me. I mean, somebody should prosecute Bob Geldof for just stupidity apart from anything else. He called his children Peaches and Fifi Trixabel or something stupid like that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Why? Because he thought that it might be a good name for a child to have, or because he thought it would be an amusing and fashionable name to call his children because he's in the media and everyone would just have a laugh and he's like they're a fashion accessory.
I wonder if they got teased at school with it.
You would think so. Yeah. Are we taking a break now?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be back.
Abbott. Everything is going extremely well.
Having savaged the government over school dinners, Jamie Oliver will now turn his fire on parents' packed lunches in his new Channel 4 show, talking of chavs. And I think that those are the people that are most in his sights, right? The TV chef turned children's rights champion said 70% of packed lunches were disgraceful and that he would like to see them banned. Because it was one thing to actually attack the schools that were providing the school dinners. And don't you think it's kind of embarrassing that a country that's supposed to be as advanced as we are had to be embarrassed into providing decent meals for our children? I mean, as opposed to... Now, I used to work in a meat factory, and that was one of the reasons that I don't eat meat anymore, because I know what goes into meat that you can't identify as an actual cut.
Like a pork pie?
Yeah, any kind of pie. Any sort of product where the meat is mushed up. Because seeing it in the form of a pie, there's not very much of it, it's all right. But if you see an entire barrel full that's 6 foot across with that product in it, and you have to get your arm in and scrape out the barrel and put it in the hopper before it gets squirted into the pie, that is properly repellent. I mean, seeing virtually a swimming pool of the stuff... That'll put you off meat forever. At least meat that you can't identify as being chopped off an animal.
But then again, isn't that quite good, that everything's being used up?
No.
Why?
Well, yes, okay, use it up, but don't give it to us. Don't give it to human beings.
But does it make any difference? It doesn't hurt us,
well, why don't we just eat dead people, then?
Well, no, I don't really fancy that. Because that's silly.
That's that's what they do in Papua New Guinea, according to Boris Johnson.
But that's what's so great about a pig, is that everything is eaten, nothing is wasted. A pig is a great animal.
I don't think it is good. I mean, do you want to eat lips and tail and...
Well, if I can't see it, it doesn't make any difference, does it, really?
Really? You don't care?
I choose probably not to eat a pork pie. But I think if you don't want to spend a lot of money on sausages and other products like that, then what's the big deal? If it tastes all right, it doesn't matter, does it?
But it's disguising what it is with flavourings that is just... I mean, you know how they... it must be. It must be bad for you. Because if you killed an animal out in the wild, would you actually eat its lips and eyeballs and its little face?
Well, I wouldn't, but some people... Stop it. But some people consider it a delicacy.
Eating its little face, Lucy.
My mum's dog eats pig's ears all the time, and you can see all the veins still through it and everything like that. It's nice.
That's an awful thing to tell us. Where does it get pig's ears?
You can just buy them in any pet shop.
You can?
Yeah, you could. There's loads of them, trays of them. You just
trays of pig's ears?
And I tell you, dogs love them. They really love them.
I am repelled.
You're looking at me like I'm barking, but it's not that strange.
You're not barking. Pig's ears. No, because they mechanically recover meat by sticking it in a centrifuge and sucking off everything on its bones that wouldn't ordinarily be eaten. And then they stick it in turkey Twizzlers or burgers or hot dogs or whatever revolting product it is that you're going to buy.
But, OK, let's put it this way round. If you were to die and you wanted to donate your body parts, OK, say your eyes and your liver and your heart... then wouldn't... and you're dead anyway, so what difference does it make if someone could make use of all your body? I wouldn't care.
Well, I wouldn't want to be formed into a turkey Twizzler or a sausage.
OK.
I mean, that's completely different. Are you crazy?
Well, I'm not asking people to eat us, but once you're dead, I'd rather my body get used up rather than just, you know, half of it get used and the rest just sit there on my bones.
Well, we'll keep that in mind. Remember that, Alex? The first series of Jamie's school dinners... You remember Jamie Oliver, right? He's the guy whose tongue doesn't fit his own mouth. In fact, his tongue would probably make a delicious and satisfying meal. The first series of Jamie's school dinners forced the government to spend millions of pounds more on school dinners and take steps to reduce the amount of junk food. Which I just think it's incredible. I mean, here's this guy who everyone was heartily sick of, right? Because he was a cheeky chappy, and he came along and did a couple of series of programmes about cooking, and he made it look so easy. And you bought his books, and you did the recipes, and it never worked. Maybe it's just me. Never worked out. I couldn't get him any of them to... And he just, he's on TV, and he's just throwing things together, and this is how easy it is, he said. But it isn't. It just flat out isn't. Recipe books are rubbish. Or at least I just have an inability to follow the instructions. But then it took him to embarrass the government, because that's what it was, into providing proper food for children. I just think that's outrageous. In his new Channel 4 show, because he's coming back, Jamie Oliver will call for a blanket ban on junk food and junk food advertising for children, and tells Tony Blair that a voluntary code sounds, quotes, a bit wet. Yeah. His comments echo the sentiments of media regulator Ofcom, which said last week that leaving the industry to regulate itself does not seem to us like a good policy for the future. And leaving the industry to regulate itself is basically the government saying, oh, well, we just can't be bothered. We'll pretend that we're really interested, and we'll go along when the TV camera's around, but if it actually comes down to doing something, no, count us out. So he's going to force them to do something. Again, he's still doing it. And that was a real turnaround in his career, because, as I said, people were kind of sick of Jamie Oliver. Like, oh, please, Jamie, will you do us a favour and go and bite yourself? But then he came back, and now he's a saint. He can do no wrong. He's the new Queen Mother, because he turned around what the kids are eating. And now his barbs are aimed at the parents. Good thing, too. In the programme that's coming up on Channel 4, the Prime Minister promises Oliver an extra £240 million on school dinners. And it took a man with a TV camera to make him do it. But Oliver said he was bored with being polite about the issue, and he'd spent 2 years being politically correct about parents. He says, I've seen kids of ages 4 and 5 open their lunchbox, and inside it's a cold, half-eaten McDonald's, multiple packets of crisps, and a can of Red Bull. And those are the kids that are called Kylie. That's what's in their lunchbox. In Jamie's Return to School Dinners, his follow-up programme, he said, if you are giving your young children fizzy drinks, you're a bleep hole, said Jamie Oliver. Not only that, but you're a bleeper. I can't say any of those words on radio. Of course, he'll be saying them like a trooper on TV. If you give them bags of crisps, you're an idiot. If you aren't cooking a hot meal, sort it out, says Jamie.
Come on, we're running late.
Hey, Ricky.
Hi, how are you? My own theme song, eh?
Yeah, that's right. How are you?
Yeah, not so bad. Yourself?
I'm not bad, mate. What's up?
You're talking about this concoction of stuff that they put in meat pies, etc.
Yes.
I used to work for a firm that used to clean people's lorries, and this
is going to really appall us, isn't it? I can tell.
Yeah.
You're winding yourself up for a big one.
Absolutely disgusting.
Go on, then.
I'm not going to mention any names.
Good.
But I don't think either firm's in existence now, because this was quite a few years ago. Anyway, with the MOT system then for heavy commercial vehicles, they had to be steam cleaned underneath. And this particular local firm owned a fleet of lorries, and they were, what would you call them, slaughterhouses, I suppose?
Yeah.
Abattoirs. And they were absolutely riddled with maggots. Any colour, any size, any flavour you like.
Except
they had them.
Any colour you like except black, yeah.
Yeah. And they were the most vilest things you've ever seen.
This was in the lorries that they were transporting meat to be eaten.
Well, I don't know if the meat was fit for human consumption, but that was, that was not a questionable matter. But the actual muck that come off of them, I tell you, we had a name for the burgers that used to be served in the local burger bar. We used to call them slurry burgers.
Nice. And how did they taste?
I don't know. I didn't eat any.
You didn't eat any. Good for you. So you're saying that they steam cleaned a lorry and in the bottom...
In the waste pit that had to be emptied, well, depending on how busy you were, but normally sort of twice, 3 times a day. Then we had to get somebody in to suck that out and dispose of it, and God knows what they've done with that.
Right. OK, well, listen, Ricky, I'm starting to feel a bit bilious. I did bring in some Renault, and I think I'm going to have to take some right now. But thanks a lot, all right.
Cheers.
All right, ta-da. Oh, I am actually feeling a bit sick now. How about you?
I'm okay.
Ready? You have a stronger constitution than me, dear. Oh. Deep breath in.
Abbott. Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
I'm confused about... Maybe you can help me out here, because I just feel a bit stupid when I'm trying to work this out in my head. If there is a local MP, and he died, or he gave up his seat because, I don't know, he was found in bed with his wife's boyfriend, or something like that.
Right.
Some sort of news of the world spectacular. And he quit... then there would be a local election again, and they would find out, which party the people wanted at that time. They wouldn't just say, right, well, here's your next... The Labour Party... Say it was a Labour MP. The Labour Party wouldn't say, right, well, he's gone. Here's your next Labour MP without having an election. They would actually have a local election. Am I right in thinking that?
Yes, I would have thought so, yes.
Yeah. So, if Tony goes, then the Labour Party just... divvy it up among themselves and say, all right, here you are, is your new Prime Minister. Don't you find that a bit incredible?
Yes.
Because guess what? Did anybody vote for Gordon Brown?
No.
No, they did not. Did people go out and vote for the Labour Party?
No.
No, they voted for Tony Blair. And is the Conservative Party doing much better in the polls now because people have suddenly fallen in love with the Conservative Party?
No.
No, it's David Cameron. People don't vote for parties anymore because you could hardly put a Rizzler paper between them. I mean, they pretty much say the same things at the same times, and they all agree with each other, more or less. They're all going to be down on crime, and they're all keen to save the NHS, and all of that guff that never really happens, but they just keep saying the same stuff, right? I mean, there's no great ideological difference between Tory and Labour anymore, and so people can't vote with their conscience, and then people don't read the manifestos. People vote now, just as they do in America, on how they come across on TV, what the ads look like. That's the political process now. And so nobody has voted, really, apart from the people who just always automatically vote Labour or Tory, regardless of who happens to be in power. But those aren't the people that sway elections anymore. It's the undeciders, the undecided. Those are the people who decide who's actually going to be running the show. And all those undecideds just think, well, the last time, they think, oh, that Tony, he's nice. He was on Richard and Judy. And he dropped his H's and he threw in a few glottal stops. And they thought, oh, yeah, we'll vote for him then. And they're thinking exactly the same thing about David Cameron. It's got nothing to do with because he hasn't actually said anything yet, has he?
No.
He's pretty much policy-less. And so it's got nothing to do with his policies. They just like him. They like the look of him. He takes his jacket off and he rides a bike and he just seems nice. And it's about the strength of it, right? And so nobody in their right mind... I mean, you look at Gordon Brown. No offence, but does he seem nice? I mean, would you actually like to sit down and have a pint with Gordon Brown?
Not particularly.
Not really, no. Or a cup of tea, or even be in the same room. He's got this really weird thing where he drops his jaw when he breathes in. That freaks me out. He looks like someone from a Hammer House of Horrors. Have you noticed? No. Every time he breathes in, it's as though his bottom jaw just goes loose. It unhinges itself from the rest of his face, and it just... like that.
You've been studying him.
Yeah, well, you don't have to look at him for very long to notice that. It's a bit frightening, really. He does look a bit scary. Okay. And so, guess what? Nobody's voted for Gordon Brown. We all voted for Tony. And so if Tone gives it up, then I think there should be a general election. We shouldn't just be presented like some sort of South American dictatorship with your next leader. Here he is. That's just outrageous, don't you think? I mean, the nerve of it, really, is incredible. Because nobody voted for Gordon. We just flat out didn't. Did anybody go to the polls and think, well, that Tony Blair, he's nice, but you know what? I really want Labour to win because of Gordon Brown. Not one single person. And just to be presented with, here's your new leader, I'm stunned by that.
Yeah, it's true. It does seem very odd.
And no one has said that yet. I keep waiting for somebody on the news to say that, which seems blindingly obvious to me. If it was a local election, you'd get, if it was a local sitting MP who died, fell off his stool, or, got caught out in a sauna somewhere, then there would be an election, and it may or may not go with the standing party. It seems rather more important about the leader of the country, rather than just some no-mark who's head of Leeds South, or wherever it might be.
Yeah, that's very true. Well, maybe that'll get noticed more now.
Well, I can't, because I'm no kind of brain. I'm an idiot. And so I can't be the only person that's thought of this, but nobody's even mentioned it yet. I think it's outrageous that they're thinking, oh, well, we're still in charge, and despite the fact that the man that everyone actually voted for is going to pack his bags and shuffle off, that we don't get a choice anymore. It's just presented to us on a plate. Right, here he is. Now shut up and get on with it. I'm stunned. I'm outraged, actually.
You do sound very outraged.
Well, I am. I don't want him.
Maybe you should go and stand in Piccadilly with a big loudspeaker and talk all about it.
Hey, Ben.
Hey.
How are you?
Fine. You know how you were saying about the names earlier?
Yes.
Someone actually named their child Banjo.
You know what? I don't doubt it. Banjo.
Yeah. And then there was another one, Loon Unit.
No, that's Moon Unit. That's Frank Zappa's kid. Yeah, Moon Unit Zappa.
Why?
Why, yeah. I think that celebrities do have this sort of, it's like a fashionable thing. They they treat their babies as a fashion accessory. That's why they can't give them a name like Alice or David. It becomes like an escalating war of crazy names. And they must all just sit round, stoned off their faces, and think, "Ooh, we're going to let's make up something really stupid." And they come up with Moon Unit Zapper, right? Or Zoe, or Zoe Bowie, something ridiculous like that. And the poor kid, he's got no choice in it, and he's going to go through the rest of his life being called something ridiculous, and will probably get beaten up regularly at school.
You can always change it after, how many years?
Well, you can change it after you've gone through the important part where your name will get you beaten up. I mean, if you're 50 years old, then it's unlikely that your fellow 50-year-olds are going to beat you up or point and laugh because of your name.
Yeah, but think about it. He's going to be a rich kid. He's going to grow up in some, rich neighborhood with a rich private school. So I doubt that's really actually going to matter.
No, I've been to both a comprehensive and a private school, and you know what the difference between them was absolutely nothing at all in the amount of violence that was dealt out in the school playground. The kids are the same. Kids are the same. They're all over. It doesn't matter how rich their daddies are. If you're called something stupid, then you will get picked on.
Oh, well, too bad.
It's easy for you to say, Ben. You've got an excellent name. Anyway, thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem.
Ta-ta. This is LBC 97.3. It's Robert from the Rhondda. Where is he? Click, 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 click. Pressing. What's that, about 10 presses now on this excellent touchscreen? There he is.
You got me!
Truth.
You press the right buttons.
Hey, Rob.
MC Rhondda from now on, please. How are you?
I'm all right.
He called it. I do like MC Blizzard. He's got his own show.
Yeah, right.
He will.
Maybe on another station, so I can remember not to listen.
Virgin. Anyway, you just talking about the Prime Minister?
What did you say?
I said he might be a... No, that sounds weird. Never mind.
The Prime Minister, yes.
Yes. Yeah, we have a parliamentary democracy.
Apparently.
Yeah, which means that it doesn't matter who the Prime Minister is. Only your local MP is the person you vote for.
No, well, you know what? If it was that people went out and voted for a party, then I would agree with that. But people don't. People go out and vote for either Tony or David. They vote for the guy on the telly because no one reads the party manifesto. Partly because it's a very long and boring document, but mostly because everyone knows that they're not going to stick to it anyway. There's just a lot of blah 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 yeah, exactly, that they put out. And then, you know they have no intention of sticking to it.
I think there's only one country in the world you can actually directly vote for the Prime Minister. Not the party, just the Prime Minister. That's Israel.
Is that a fact?
It might be some other countries, but that's a famous one, yeah.
I did not know that.
What we all need is PR. Then everyone's vote counts. Anyway. You saw House of Cards, haven't you?
House of Cards is a superb programme, yeah.
I sent you some tapes that took many months to come back, but
I sent them back, did I?
You did send them back.
That's a surprise.
No.
No, I'm very grateful. That was a superb programme, yeah, House of Cards.
Well, you see how, one by one, each candidate is eliminated.
Yes, and I'm sure it's quite accurate.
I'm sure it's all going on now.
They're very vicious and violent, and if one of the candidates suspiciously marches himself into the middle of a field and, in inverted commas, commits suicide, then I think we'll know who's responsible. Don't say it.
It's a brilliant way to go, though, isn't it? If you were the Prime Minister, get assassinated. You'd be beloved forever, no matter what you did. Kennedy almost brought us to the end of the world, but he's remembered as a lovely man.
Yes, that's right. As long as you go out early, then your place in your positive place in history is ensured. Yeah, you're right.
Problem is that the prospective prime ministers at the moment is not one of them, not even Cameron, is appealing at all.
Well, no, I don't think that's right. I think Cameron is appealing, partly because he hasn't said anything, but mostly because he kind of looks a bit like Tony Blair. He's young, and not that should actually be a positive thing. You know, we used to, and other societies still do, revere the elders in society because they're the people who know a lot. But we like to throw old people away like used Kleenex. But no, I think that people like David Cameron because, you know what, it comes down to something as silly as we're bored. We just want a change. It's been, almost 10 years now, and we've just had enough. For no other reason than we just want a change. I think there becomes like a groundswell of opinion, and that's what people want, and I think that's what's going to happen.
It's pretty predictable what's going to happen. Gordon Brown will become Prime Minister. He'll call a general election in 2008-ish. He'll win that, but with a majority of about 20, do 4 years, then the Conservatives will get back in.
You know what? I think it's going to happen quicker than that. I don't think once Tony goes, I think that David Cameron will get in, just for the exact same silly reason that I just said, that people are bored. They just don't. They just want to change.
Well, yeah. But the problem is David Cameron's got a very good background in PR, and David Cameron himself, take him out of the equation. You've got people like John Redwood and all his other cronies, and the Conservative Party don't really look appealing then.
Well,
Redwood.
Yeah, I agree with you, but people won't vote for the Conservative Party apart from people who've always voted Conservative. People, the in-betweeners, the people who are actually going to make a difference, they will vote for the person who comes across best on telly. It's that silly now. And David Cameron, well, it does seem like a more likeable person than Gordon Brown.
And that's why we need PR, because at the moment, I think it's 50 constituencies can choose who the government is. And that's why they target these certain seats. Now, if everyone's vote was equal, they'd actually have to appeal to everyone. And then, but of course, nobody wants PR because then all their jobs are at risk. Anyway.
Well, to appeal to everyone, you'll appeal to no one.
Well, that's politics.
Unless you actually just don't say anything, which I think is David Campbell's strategy. Just don't say anything, and people will love him.
They're mixing two people there together. Probably there's a new party ticket. Who knows? Anyway, ITV tonight had their 50 greatest stars.
There was.
A few months ago.
ITV had their 50 greatest stars doing what?
They had a countdown. They had a countdown of the 50 greatest television stars.
That have appeared on ITV?
I saw it, no. It seems to be on television generally. Although the majority of them, strangely, used to appear on ITV. Have a strong connection too.
Well, number one will be David Jason.
Correct.
See, it's just so obvious. Number two will be...
Go on, you can get this one.
Ronnie Barker.
No.
Hang on. Number two. I'll
give you a clue, shall I?
Go on.
Double act.
A double act?
Yeah.
Oh, well, Morecambe and Wise.
Yes! Don't ask me for you, I didn't watch that far.
And you know what? Morecambe and Wise, when you watch it again... Painfully, it's painful for me to say this, but it's not funny.
Well, Angela Rippon, because she did that dance, she came on, because they spoke up, she said, imagine now, there are people who are watching Morecambe Wise now, who weren't even born when Morecambe died. That shows how good the quality of programme is. I'm thinking, that was me. I don't find it funny. Sorry.
No, I don't think anybody. If you put your hand on your heart and we're absolutely truthful, I don't think that anyone could say that Morecambe and Wise was funny anymore.
There are certain things that still make you laugh, like the kitchen scene.
Well, yes, and one of the funniest jokes on TV of all time. They're both in bed, which is kind of like why were they both sharing the same bed? I mean, that's a Laurel and Hardy thing, and those were in more innocent times, but it just seemed a little strange. I mean,
3-day week.
Not two single beds, one double bed. Okay, but Morecambe gets up and gets up to the window. And a police car zooms by with its siren going. He says he's not going to sell many ice creams going at that speed. But apart from that, not funny, no.
Yeah.
But the two Ronnies, on the other hand, do continue to be funny because they're wordsmiths.
Exactly. Ronnie Barker's a genius.
Very much so, yeah.
And Laurence Olivier actually went up to him and said, "You're one of my favourite actors. Not comedy actors, just actors." He said, "I was the greatest tribute he's ever had."
Larry. Oh, yes, I know Larry.
Love him.
So they were number two. Number three...
Number three, I can't remember what number three was. But number six were two Ronnies.
Where did Ant and Dec come? Somewhere depressingly high, I bet you.
About 7, I think.
Isn't that awful?
Ant and Dec, does anybody actually like them? They're like, okay, but Ant and Dec, no.
But I think that's what goes over well in this country. Okay, as long as you're super extra double bland... and you don't offend anyone at any time, by which I mean that you don't actually say anything that's interesting, because if you say anything that's interesting, somebody's going to take umbrage at it. Which is kind of like David Campbell. We're back to David Campbell again. He just, you know, he smiles and he's nice and there's good photo opportunities, but he doesn't actually say anything, which is why people love him. His popularity is through the roof. He is the Anton Deck of politics. And so that is the key to success in both politics and in the media.
And music at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. And music. That's what James Blunt says. Be super, extra, double bland.
Good.
But anyway, Rob, I've got to go. But thanks a lot, mate. All right.
Love you all.
Ta-ta.
Darlings.
Steve Allen. Nick Abbott.
How may I help you?
Hey, do you dance, Lucy? You dancing?
Oh, no, I can't do this. Are you asking?
I'm asking.
Oh, am I dancing?
No! You dancing?
Are you asking?
I'm asking.
Well, I'm dancing.
Close enough for jazz.
What
yes.
was it?
I'm dancing. Just as simple as that.
Oh, okay.
Do you dance? Do you like
Badly.
old school dance? Like proper dance, not just like jiving around on your own in a youthful manner. Do you dance proper like?
I did a bit of ballet and...
Did you?
I did, actually.
Oh, show us some moves.
Oh, no, I can't do it now. Look at the size
Go on,
of me.
throw yourself into some shapes, girl.
Oh, it wouldn't be pretty.
Well, this is a story that I did a little while ago about this woman in Hong Kong who wanted to learn to dance, and I might as well give you the update, because at the time this was just so incredible that I couldn't believe what I was reading. Here's basically what it was. Two of the world's leading ballroom dance instructors who had gone to Hong Kong in order to teach people to dance, and were employed by this high flyer from a bank over there to teach her how to, dance properly. Because apparently it's this big thing in Hong Kong, and it's very in for those high up in the social echelons to dance properly at functions and so on. It shows that you're, a person of quality. And so she hired these people to teach her to dance. How much do you reckon that she would pay someone per year to teach her to dance? That's right, £1 million a year. Two of the world's leading ballroom dance instructors were ordered yesterday to repay their most prized client, a Hong Kong investment banker, the £4 million that she'd paid them to train her in the art of salsa. And that £4 million was a down payment. At the end of a case that's both fascinated the territory in Hong Kong and provided it with an embarrassing reminder of how its super rich indulge their whims, 61-year-old Monica Wong won back a deposit that she had given Gaynor Fairweather, the British former world Latin dance champion, and her husband, Mirko Sacchiani.
Hang on, wasn't Gaynor one of the 10 most naughty names?
She had sacked the pair after a row during a lesson held in a restaurant when she claimed Mr. Sacchiani became abusive, calling her a lazy cow and telling her to move her arse. When she went to court, they countersued for the remainder of the fees that she had originally promised them, £8 million. I mean, that just is incredible to me. I mean, how much money would you have to have that you'd be able to, or even have the inclination to pay someone £8 million just to teach you to dance? I mean, how difficult could it be? How long would it take? Ms. Wong, who is the widowed daughter of a shipping billionaire... Wouldn't you just love to be the daughter or son of a shipping billionaire? Wouldn't that be great? I mean, you'd be urging them to die, wouldn't you? And is also wealthy in her own right. Good grief, she's got no end of money. She's head of a private investment bank. She has become gradually more obsessed, what began as an ordinary hobby. She wanted a last bit of glory in her life, and so she first hired Miss Fairweather, a champion Latin dancer, who won the World Latin Dance Championship 16 times. Good grief. And was awarded the MBE. She's a woman of quality. Miss Wong also feared the couple were losing interest in her, and was eventually persuaded to enter into an £8 million 8-year contract. 8 years? I mean, what could possibly take 8 years? I don't get it. I mean, she's 61 years old, this woman. I mean, how well is she expected to dance? It's not like she's being taught ballet from scratch.
What happens if she wants to do something else after 6 years? Do you lose the money?
I guess it just means nothing to her. Well, apparently not, because she's gone to court to get some back. So she thought that they were losing interest in her. She was their most valued client, and she wasn't getting the attention that she deserved. So they persuaded her to take them on as exclusive, as her exclusive, or as their exclusive client. They would only teach her for 8 million quid. The fee was high because she didn't want them teaching anyone else a devotion that appeared reciprocal. Well, I bet. I mean, if all you had to do was teach one person to dance, who was a very busy person, so it wasn't like you were in an 8-hour day, 7 days a week, probably just here and there, then you'd be keen to keep her as a client, right? But it was not long afterwards, in August 2004, that the explosive incident that ended their relationship took place at a packed venue where 50 people were also practising. You'd think if you had that much money floating around, you'd be able to hire a hall just for yourself. She was slumming it with...
house, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he was slumming it with 50 other people. The man, Mr. Sakani, was not happy with Ms. Wong's performance, but he said that saying her dancing was bleeping horrible, and telling her to move her arse had been motivational language only. That's the kind of motivational language that you need, Lucy.
Is it? Let's see what happens.
Ms. Wong said she'd been unable to continue lessons after suffering an emotional breakdown because of his insults. They lost their case, so they had to give her 4 million quid back. Unfortunately, they've already spent a large part of it on a Ferrari for him and cosmetic surgery for her. Let's go with this spy report in Southfields. Hello, Becky.
Hello there.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Is that Nick Abbott?
Yes, it is.
Hi. I've never called LBC before, but I'm a long-time listener.
Okay.
I've just seen something... Well, my mum saw something very strange in the sky this evening. I also witnessed it, and my sister saw it coming back from her friend's house in Vauxhall, and I wondered if anyone else in London across the Wandsworth/Putney area saw what we saw this evening.
Well, what was it?
I'm a bit out of breath because I'm running around.
Are you running around screaming, or...?
Yeah, well, no, really excited. Well, sort of excited and sort of bewildered, really. I'll explain what happened.
Go on,
then. Right. My mum's bedroom's up in the loft.
Actually, you know what? You called at a rather tense time, because we're about to go to the news. What you're saying might actually be on the news.
Right.
But this is going to be a perfect tease across the break.
Okay, right,
So take a breath, okay? I know you've been running around screaming and pulling your hair out, but you'll be able to tell all of London in just a minute,
Lovely,
all right?
okay,
so
thank
we'll
you.
come back with Becky. Hang on.
Thank you.
973. Would you mind telling me what this is all about?
Tell me what this is all about, Becky.
Oh, hi, is that Nick?
Yes.
Hi. Right, I'll start from the beginning, because
Go
I
on,
know
then.
you've got a busy evening, you've got other callers. Right, my mum sleeps in the loft.
Oh, that's awful.
No, she's very happy, actually. She tucked up in bed behind me.
In the loft?
What it was, I was getting ready for bed as normal, and I was down in my room, and then my mum shouts out, "Come upstairs, there's something funny in the sky."
Now, does she have to climb a ladder to get in the loft?
No. She's got a flight of stairs.
Okay.
No, she walks up. So anyway, I've come upstairs, and I'm thinking what she's seen, and...
so she's got a window in her room? Oh, okay, that's
two
nice.
loft windows that just flip open.
Right.
So we both looked out the window, and I'm not joking, and I'm sure many people saw this, there was at least... I didn't actually, individually count them, because I was sort of, surprised at what I saw, but there was at least 12 to 15 orange balls of lights, and they were sort of coming over from sort of Wandsworth prison area. They were... So, yeah. And they were coming sort of across Wandsworth, past the Arndale Centre, and they just sort of they were in... it's hard to explain. It was like a formation of them, and then they just sort of slowly just disappeared and went off in different directions.
If only there were bombs and had landed on the Arndale Centre.
Yeah.
Come, friendly bombs, land on the Arndale Centre. Wouldn't that be great?
I just wondered if any of your listeners...
Well, how big were these balls?
How big would you say they were, Mum? About...
Poor dear,
I
stuck
would
up in the
say
loft.
maybe about... It was hard to say, but probably about 30 feet.
30 feet across?
Yeah.
That's huge.
They were quite big, but they were high up, but they were big. You could see them quite clearly.
Now, when you say balls,
There were balls of orange. They looked like round balls of orange light. There was at least 15 of them. And
was there any noise associated with them?
No, it's a clear night. I can see stars and I can see a few planes, and these things are as clear as day.
And there's a moon in the sky, and it's called the moon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was as clear as day, and they were just going across the sky, just not fast, not slow, just going across in the same direction as each other.
Because in that area of town, there's a lot of helicopters go over because there's Battersea helicopter port.
I see helicopters all the time, and I can guarantee it was not a helicopter, it wasn't a plane.
Do you see dead people all the time?
No.
Right.
I've never seen a dead person ever. But it's always the first time. But I've spoken to my sister this evening, and she was coming back from her friend's house in Vauxhall, and she said she was by the Arndale Centre, and she saw two balls of these funny lights, and then she saw 3. So I just wondered, I'm putting it out to London and Wandsworth or anybody that's listening to me at the moment, has anyone else seen these lights?
And how long ago was it?
It was about 45 minutes ago.
And what have you been doing for the last 45 minutes?
Well, I just called my friend who lives on the corner, and I said, did you see anything? And he said no. And tried to call my sister and just had a chat to her, and then I was just listening to your station. I couldn't remember your number by heart, so I had to wait for your number to come up, and then just called the radio station.
Well, I'm glad you did.
Long-term listener, but...
I am freaking out, Becky.
Yes.
So how fast were they going?
They weren't going fast, and they weren't going slow. They were just almost just floating along. Just very, very gently floating along. There were at least 15 of them. Can't explain it.
And how far up were they?
Oh, about...
Like as far up as... Because planes come in to land over that area.
Height.
Right, so not very high.
No, not high.
So there would have been, if they had some noise associated with them, you would have heard it,
yes.
right?
Yeah, no noise. They weren't aeroplanes. They weren't helicopters. No. There was no you get those laser shows you get that you sometimes get. There was no sort of like beams from them or anything. There were just these things just going across, and they just disappeared in their different little directions.
Lucy has her hand up.
I've just had a caller say it's the last night of the proms tonight, and there was a big firework display afterwards, so it could be that.
Oh, come off it. A firework display? I mean, the proms are in Kensington.
Yeah. But if it had floated across after that, if it had been a formation, maybe.
Oh, which direction were they going?
Well, I'll tell you what direction I'm looking at. Maybe you know where. I'm looking, like, to the left of me is the Arndale Centre.
You're looking south?
That must be, I suppose. I don't quite know.
Well, north is the river, and south is, in the opposite direction.
To the left of me, I can see the 3 Arndale Centres. And then I sort of go across to my right, and there's Wandsworth Prison, and I go further over to my right, and then I've got Crystal Palace.
And so your back is to the river?
Must be, yeah.
Yeah, and so were they coming from
directly in front of me, sort of over near... Sort of over near the Wandsworth Prison area. I don't know what area's over there.
So they were coming from the south to the north?
Yeah, it was almost...
Right, well, we can discount fireworks then, because they're going in the wrong direction. Huh.
It didn't come over the house. They sort of went to the left, as if they were going towards sort of Putney, Fulham way.
And you didn't get sucked up into one of them and probed?
No, unfortunately, I didn't get sucked up.
You're absolutely sure about that, Becky?
I'm sure.
Have you checked?
Otherwise, I'd be calling you from my spaceship.
Have you checked all over?
All over the sky?
All over yourself?
No, there's nothing strange.
Nothing untowards happened. All right.
I haven't been taken away.
Well, let's hope that remains so. Well, I'm astounded, Becky.
Yeah. Okay. So
we'll investigate it further.
Okay,
all right.
Well, I'll let you go, and I know you're busy. Thank you for talking to me.
Well, thanks for the inside scoop.
Yeah. And if anyone, any of your listeners out there, please get back to me if anyone's seen these balls and what do you think they are, and has anyone got any explanation?
Yeah, because otherwise you might think you're going out of your mind.
Yeah. Well, no, I know I'm not going out of my mind because I definitely saw them.
Right. Okay.
It's just an explanation, really.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Becky.
Thank you for your time.
Cheers.
Bye.
This is LBC, where you heard it first. Huh. How about that? Let's go with, Now, is this one in Ilford? Has she got something to say about this? Yeah? Hey, Kathleen.
Yes.
Kathleen.
I'm speaking to... I'm not sure your name now.
Oh, my name's Nick, and you're on the air.
Oh, Nick. Oh, right, Nick. I'm wondering, has it got anything to do with the Hyde Park celebrations tonight?
Yeah, well, I think we just discounted that because they were going in the wrong direction.
Oh,
she
were
said they
they?
were coming from the south to the north,
Oh,
and
they
she's...
had a big one there. They had a big one in Manchester, Glasgow, Belfast, and it was all being distributed amongst, they was getting through to each one as they was coming through on the television. And I'm wondering, had it got anything to do with that? Or had they let anything up from Hyde Park? Like these balloons that float about?
Yeah, but if they had that, they would be coming from the north to the south, see? But according to her, they were coming from the other direction.
Oh, right. Oh, so I'm not being very helpful there, am I?
Well, you did your best. All right.
Nice talking to you.
Thanks anyway, it's all right.
Bye.
Huh, well, I am Mr... You can call me Mr. Fide. How's that? This is LBC. We're going to cogitate about this, and a little later on we'll be asking, have you seen any ghosts?
Nick Abbott.
Come on, we're running late.
You know, this belief in the supernatural, now, I'm not saying that what she was describing was supernatural. I'm not saying that it wasn't, an actual phenomenon that she witnessed with her own eyeballs. But there is a belief that in the supernatural, and I include religions in that. The belief in the unexplained, that we have no control over. Each and every one of us believes it, whether we are logical thinkers or not. There is some part of our brain that we think, well, because it's hardwired into us. This came out, there's a meeting of the British Association this week. Religions will continue to thrive despite the rise of science and rationality, because we're all born with a tendency to believe in the supernatural, according to research published this week. They call it magical thinking. It's wired into our brains, according to Professor Bruce of the... I don't know. Maybe it's a Monty Python thing, but I just think there's something uniquely funny about the name Bruce. Professor Bruce of the University of Bristol, speaking at the British Association's annual festival in Norwich. And their shoulders must have drooped when they heard that they were going to Norwich. I mean, not Barbados, not Hawaii. Oh, we're going to have the big annual festival in Norwich. Oh, and everyone's looking at their watch and checking their diary. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't make that. Anyway, he challenged the assumption of Professor Richard Dawkins and other ultra-rationalists that belief in the supernatural was spread by religions in gullible minds. In other words, they prey on the stupids and put a bit of hoodoo in front of their faces and then ask them for their money, please. But that's not what it is at all. Rather, religions may simply capitalise on a natural bias and assume the existence of supernatural forces. So we all feel this, whether we like to admit it or not, and there's nothing we can do about it, apparently. He said that religion would persist because people were not going to evolve a more rational mind. In other words, we're never going to get smarter than to believe in, fairies and goblins and all that stuff. Not that I'm saying that that's what that nice lady was talking about. This is not about her, right? This is just a belief in the supernatural. The mind is programmed to see coincidences as significant and to think that inanimate objects have minds. For instance, we see faces wherever we look, whether in clouds or on Mars or on the moon. He said, we think that cars are vindictive and computers nasty when they don't behave properly. Professor Bruce has studied attachment objects like blankets and soft toys and so on, which children are unwilling to part with, even if they're promised a copy. So they think that the thing that they are in love with, like their blanket, actually has some magical properties in and of itself, rather than you can't give them an exact copy of it because that won't be the same, right?
Like lucky pants.
Exactly, yeah. When he offered adults the chance to duplicate a wedding ring, for instance, right down to the last atom, in other words, it would be utterly identical, most of them would prefer the original. We think there's something unique which defines artifacts which we associate with somebody we love, which is illogical if you think about it. It doesn't have anything to do with it. But it's something that you fight at, isn't it? I mean, you're trying to think, okay, so it's a wedding ring or like an item of clothing or whatever it might be that you really associate with somebody you love. I'll give you exactly the same thing, right down to an atomic level. Not even with an electron microscope would you be able to tell the difference, but you want the one that was actually given to you by that person. For why? It's
so true,
exactly
yeah.
the same. And logically, you think you would choose either. Makes no difference. But in the back of your mind, you're thinking, no, I want that one.
But it's the sentimental attachment, isn't it?
Yes, but if they're identical.
Yeah, but if something's given to you by someone, you don't want a replica, do you? Because that's just not the same.
But it is the same.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the
You're fighting it, Lucy.
Yeah, because there's no sentimental attachment to it, is there?
Professor Bruce has investigated the flip side of this attachment to inanimate objects by asking audiences whether they would wear a cardigan that supposedly belonged to Fred West, the mass murderer. And the audience will in general wear a cardigan for 20 quid, but not when I tell them that it belonged to a mass murderer.
So isn't it the experiences that are attached to an object that is what counts?
Yeah, many people feel that the cardigan is contaminated with evil, and so they won't put it on. Which is insane, really, if you think about it logically, but people just won't touch it. Another example of an intuitive theory underpinning adult supernatural beliefs can be found in the common assumption that we can detect someone staring at us even though we can't see them. We always think, you can feel someone's eyes boring into the back of your head, even though you can't actually see them looking at you. We do feel that we've got that ability, which is also nuts when you think of it. How can we possibly tell, if we can't see someone, that someone's looking at us? 90% of students in a study in 1898 believed that they could detect the unseen gaze of others. And over 100 years later, we still believe that that's true, which is just plain weird, considering all the advances in science that we've had in the meantime. The beliefs are so common that most people are unaware that it's actually controversial. Controversial is a mild way of putting it. That most scientists would say that that's just silly, but people just believe it, which is kind of weird because we don't think of ourselves in the terms of believing in witches and sixth senses and the supernatural and all that. That's for primitive tribes and witch doctors and all of that stuff. We're far more advanced than that, but actually we're not at all. We may all recognise the fantastical nature of ghosts and fairies and wizards in the world of Harry Potter, but other equally magical beliefs are so common that most adults assume that supernatural phenomena are real. So we believe in witches and fairies and goblins, or actually we try to tell ourselves that we don't, because we're more advanced than that, but actually, in the back of our mind, yes we do. We believe in good and evil, God and the devil, and the great Lord Xenu, or whatever it is that Tom believes. We don't have any control over it, even though it is illogical, Captain. Any of these have any information about what we've been talking about, balls in the sky? Hey, James.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
I was driving through Crystal Palace just over an hour ago, and there was a big fireworks display. I don't know what it was for, but I did see these things, and I saw lots of other fireworks with them.
So you saw orange balls in the sky?
Well, I saw fireworks, but I've seen fireworks before where you see those big sort of amber balls, and they sort of slowly move down the sky. The professional sort of fireworks, you do see that quite often.
Almost as though they're on a parachute, right?
Yeah, that's right. Or flares is the other thing. There was a big thing in the States, I think in California, that sparked a big sort of UFO scare, and all it was the military testing some sort of special flares that slowly sort of went over the horizon.
Or at least that's what they said they were doing.
But it's impossible to tell how big something is unless you've got something to compare it against in the sky.
Correct. It's called the moon. It's called the moon illusion. That's an actual fact, because when the moon is near the horizon, it looks huge. Exactly. On a clear night and a full moon, it looks massive when it's right near the horizon. But when it goes up into high in the sky, it looks tiny. And yet, the moon is the same size as it's on the back of our retinas. It's exactly the same size. It's just because we've got some perspective near the horizon, our brain tells us that it's bigger, whereas it's actually
really
not.
Scary.
And that's called the moon
This woman reckons
illusion.
that they're sort of like 15 feet wide or whatever, but I bet they're just tiny, sort of bright, basically fireworks.
Huh. Well, you may have got to the bottom of it, James.
I don't buy UFOs, I don't buy ghost stories. I'm just a non-believer.
Or at least that's what you're telling us. All right, thanks, James.
Thanks.
Ta-da. I mean, he's perhaps a member of the government who's trying to pull the wool over our eyes. They're doing a lot of experiments with UFOs and such like. And I don't believe a word he says. Fireworks, my eye. Let's go with Joan. Hello.
Hello, Nick.
Joan.
Well, two things. One was that I did see this sort of balls of light a few years ago, with three friends near Dartmouth, at Dittisham, in Devon. And we were coming up from the water's edge, and we were walking up the hill, and it was time in the evening and time of the year when there was almost nobody about, and nobody in the houses much at all. And
You'd been
anyway,
bathing?
Sorry?
You'd been bathing?
No, not in December.
Oh, well, you said you come up from the water's edge.
Yeah, we've been down, there's a pub just right down the bottom of Dittisham, right on the river.
Right.
And we were walking up. This is about 6 o'clock in the evening. And I said there were four of us, and one was ahead of the other three. And he said, what do you think of those lights? And I said, what lights? So we all started looking up, and and there was this circle of lights. Each one was totally separate, but each light was like fluffy, like a big ball of very bright cotton wool, really. What? And,
fluffy?
And there was an equal space. They were a complete circle, and equidistant from each other, each light.
It's like the Lion King, isn't it? It's the circle of life.
Yeah, and this circle of lights was moving maybe one way, maybe the other way, going around, moving up and down, sideways, and always hovering fairly near us.
So what were you drinking that night, Joan? Was it cider?
I knew you'd say that.
Half a cider mixed with a half a lager with black currant on the top. What do they call that?
I don't know. What, Guinness?
No, they call it, it's...
Snake bite and black.
Yeah, something like that.
Really?
Snake bite and black,
Well,
yeah.
you should know then. You're a drinker, aren't you?
I am, yeah. We used to
Yeah.
ban that in pubs because it makes people violent. Yeah, we wouldn't serve it in the pub that I used to work at. I'll have a snake bite and black, mate. Snake bite and black in a fight.
No, get off. Go.
So were you drunk at the
so
time?
there it was. And so we all just standing there watching this. And it was quite high up above us at one point. But very gradually, it started moving down towards us. And our friend said, let's just wait here and see what happens. And I said, no way. No way. And by the time, it actually was probably 20 feet above us by this time. And we moved very fast and got in the car and went.
Well, I think you could have been probed to within an inch of your life, Joan. You had a lucky escape.
I don't know. But the other thing is that you were saying it's totally illogical to think of, all these feelings about...
Yeah, the supernatural and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
well, I mean, you only have to stand in a room, and then somebody maybe just comes in the room on the other side, and you feel that energy. You don't know anything about that person. You've never met them before, you don't know a thing, but you will feel the energy of that person.
But you see, that sounds like crazy talk, Joan. What you're actually feeling, perhaps, is you're putting them in a template of the people that you've met in the past. Either they're tall, or they're short, or they're fat, or they're thin, or they're aggressive looking, or they're stance, or they're walking quickly towards you, and you make an instant decision, and we call it some sort of supernatural sixth sense, but it's not.
You see, I don't call that supernatural. I call that terribly, terribly natural. All you're doing is picking up the energies. Every single person is a bundle of different energies. And you emanate those energies one to another. And sometimes you sort of like bounce off each other. And you don't know quite why, but you and that goes
particularly
back to
when you've had a snake bite in black. Yeah,
well, no.
That's my experience.
But that's natural. You see, that's nothing supernatural. That's the energies that we exist in, that we live in all the time, and we take them for granted.
Huh. Well, you've certainly given us a lot to think about, Joan.
Have I?
No.
So,
a little
really,
bit, yeah.
those lights, they weren't going anywhere except, hovering. They were nothing to do with laser beams or fireworks or aeroplanes or helicopters. There was absolutely nothing there.
And they were fluffy.
the edges were blurred, so each light was separate, but each light had a blurred edge.
So what were you drinking that night? I must get myself a couple of pints of this.
Drink, do I? I was listening to some gorgeous music, though.
Oh, well, Pink Floyd, was it?
No. Why do you... In a pub, in Didisham?
Well, perhaps not.
No, good. It was very
James
nice
Blunt,
people
something
came in
dull
with
like that.
guitars and things.
Oh, Struth. Hippies?
Saxophones and-
Hippies, were they?
Sorry, no.
Was there a lot of smoke in the building at the time?
Oh, you.
Anyway, listen, Joe.
Hey, and you know what?
And another thing.
Yes, another.
Yes.
If you start actually being sensitive to other people's energies, you know, some people you would actually run a mile from.
Yeah.
But if you aren't sensitive, well, then you're probably going to have a hassle with people, and then have to work through that. Whereas if you get sensitive to their energies and to each other, then you'll avoid quite a lot of that, wouldn't you?
Well, I'll work on that. All right.
All right, have a go.
Thanks a lot, Joan.
Bye-bye.
Ta-da, what a nice lady. This is your switched on and sensitive LBC 97.3.
Meet Careful Cat.
It's happening. It's wild. And it's now.
Hey, Dennis.
Hi, Nick.
How are you?
I'm fine.
What's
How
up?
are you?
I'm feeling a bit... I've come over all queer. This show's gone strange.
All right.
I've done the thing that I...
Joan has done that, probably.
It's what?
It's probing Joan.
Exactly, yeah. So what's up?
Yeah, regarding the lights in the sky, we had a very similar thing over in Essex. Quite a few episodes, I suppose you'd call them. And what we found out, we investigated a little bit. It's been on local news as well. And I think the general consensus was that it was Chinese lanterns. And what they do is they just up in the air about a meter around, and they just float around, and they just attach by little strings, and they go around in groups, and eventually they go out, and it looks like they're actually disappearing into the sky, and they're not. They're just gone out and gone to the ground. So.
I remember this very thing. A couple of months ago, there was something exactly as you just described. And I don't think it was in this country, it was somewhere else, and people were letting off Chinese lanterns. They were basically lighting a candle or some such thing.
That's right.
In what looked like a big box of paper, and setting it up into the sky, and people were reporting it as UFOs.
Exactly.
Aha! We finally got to the bottom of it.
That's it.
There it is. All right. Thanks a lot, Dennis.
All right. Okay.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
And we got to the bottom of it before midnight. Isn't that excellent? I've done what I've always said I would never do, and that's do a show about UFOs. I don't want any more calls about UFOs, and I really don't want any calls about ghosts, or should we legalise marijuana? There's another standby for talk show hosts, so none of that. So we'll come back with, we'll have the papers, won't we?
It's 12 o'clock.
Hello? So they're all in, and it's a story that has come as a bit of a surprise that everyone's going with. One moment, please. I have to sort out the wheat from the chaff. Oh, you can turn that music up. Let's enjoy some of what's his name? What's Rooney up to now? Oh no. Hang on. I wasn't expecting you to join in. That was wonderful. In fact, it would be appropriate for me to say that it was fabulous. Because it is Librace herself.
Fabulous.
Yeah, like I said. So, The Observer.
Boring.
Yeah, all right, that's just...
Well, there's supposed to be something quite good in The Observer.
Oh, really?
Week. Yeah.
What page?
There's supposed to be an article all on food, the facts and the fiction. I saw it being advertised.
What do you mean, facts and fiction?
I think it's in the supplement.
Oh, God. I've just separated all the supplements and put them in a big pile on the floor. I can't be bothered to go through all that lot.
Oh, okay, well...
What do you mean, facts and food?
Well, I just saw it being advertised and I thought, oh, I'd like to read that.
But facts in what sense?
Well, I don't know. I need to read it to find out.
Why the iPod is losing its cool. Have you got an iPod?
No.
Apple has added ever more extras to its digital music player in a bid to stem falling sales, but fears are rising that the device is now too common to be cutting edge. I haven't bought one for that exact reason, because I just don't want to buy one. I've always been a refusenick. I don't want to buy the same thing as everybody else. I won't have one.
So have you not got an MP3 either?
No, I do not.
Ooh.
I want one, but I can't think of any point at which I would actually use it. When would I use it?
Oh, you would?
I wouldn't.
Well, I've bought one for my husband, and I must say it's changed the way we listen to music, and I didn't think I'd say that. But in the sense that we don't actually need CDs in the house anymore, and we wouldn't need a hi-fi. We don't need any of that. You can just...
Yeah, but you sit there in your little world... And
well, no, because you can
well,
listen
at least
to
he doesn't
whatever
have to talk to you. Is that what you're saying?
Well, if he doesn't want to, he doesn't have to. We don't need music for that, you know. But it does work quite well, and we can stick it into the TV, so you get it in surround sound. You know, it doesn't affect the sound or quality. In fact, if anything, it makes it better.
Wrong.
Why?
No, that is wrong. MP3s do not sound better.
Why?
Well, they just don't, because they cut the top and the bottom off of music. Hi-fi purists are pulling their hair out at home. MP3 files sound dreadful as music. Compared to, actual proper CDs, yeah. You need a lossless form of transferring your music. And MP3s sound dreadful in comparison to the real thing. But you're only a girl, Lucy, so you wouldn't understand these technical things.
I think that's a very mean thing to say.
I'm right, aren't I, Alex?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell the difference if you hear it?
It depends on what equipment you're listening to it on. If you're listening to it on a tiny little thing that's got 10,000 songs on it, then it probably won't, you won't tell the difference.
No.
If you're playing it through your TV. But if you're playing it on, super exotic components, then yeah, you will. Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is why CDs are forever being and I'm such a sucker for this. I was saying this on my on the other place I work at today. If an album comes out with remastered written on it, I'll have to have it, no matter what it is, even if I don't like it.
Why?
Because I'm stupid.
Gosh,
I mean,
I feel really girly about this now.
I've got 3 copies of almost every album David Bowie's ever released. I bought the vinyl when it originally came out, and then the CD when that came out, and then, of course, they remastered all of the CDs just lately, and so I had to buy them too. That's how stupid I am.
So you've literally got thousands of CDs in your house?
Yes.
And vinyl?
I've got a lot of vinyl, but my record player hasn't seen the light of day for a good long while. But I've got a lot of stuff on vinyl that you can't get on CD, so I have to drag it out at some point.
So what will you do? Will you sell it? Or
sell what?
Your vinyl at some point? Or will you just keep it?
Sell the vinyl? What? Are you insane?
But if you're never listening to it, you see, I've made...
Are you my mother?
Husband get rid of loads of it.
Oh, my God.
It weighs a ton, and I said, it's got to go. It's just cluttering up the house. We've got rid of our... record player, and what's the point?
Right, this is a sound you'll hear at Lucy's house a lot. Whipped, I think, is the phrase we're looking for. And he said yes to getting rid of his vinyl?
He wouldn't get rid of some of it, because he said it was worth quite a bit of money.
That's not why... Oh, yeah, right. That's not why he kept on hold of it. He just couldn't...
about this wide.
He couldn't... about a... See, that doesn't work on the radio.
No, it does.
This
Sorry,
wide.
Well, okay.
We're looking at 10 inches.
Yeah. Yeah, about that. And that's enough.
It's not enough. There's no such thing as enough. It's it's from the heart. The vinyl that you bought as a youth, I would never get rid of that.
Our house
Are
would
you
be
crazy?
full of music otherwise, and it just looks
and there's no room for your fluffy cushions and girly knickknacks. Is that what you're saying?
I've had to get rid of loads of mine too. It's only fair.
What have you got rid of?
I've got rid of loads of clothes. In fact, I got rid of 3 bin bags full of clothes.
How many pairs of shoes did you get rid of?
About 30 pairs.
What?
I'm not joking.
30?
I decluttered everything. Yeah. It was ridiculous. I had far too much stuff. It was ridiculous.
So you got rid of 30 pairs of shoes, and how many pairs does that leave you with?
About 30.
What? 30? Yeah. You had 60 pairs of shoes?
That, yeah.
How many feet have you got?
Only 2.
That's ridiculous.
No, girls need lots of shoes.
No,
Boys only
they
need
don't.
1 pair, but girls need lots.
Why?
They do, because they've got to match their different outfits. And they need driving shoes because they can't wear their...
But you only
high
ever wear
heels.
white shell suits. What's to match?
The white stilettos, the white trainers.
And so when he got rid of vinyl, this is vinyl that he bought in his youth. This is like a diary of his youth, and you made him throw it away. What did he do with it? Did he actually throw it away? Did he sell it, or what?
Well, I think some's been hidden at
Well, that was exactly what I was going to say, that he pretended to throw it
but
away.
I don't mind,
It's
because at
actually
least
in
I
the
don't
loft.
see it.
Right.
Yeah. But it's the
What's that noise?
It's Alex.
It's Alex?
Well, it's not him, I think. Alex?
Is that your phone?
Mm-hmm.
What's your ringtone?
It's still Philip in South Norwood.
Saying what?
Hoodies.
Your ringtone is Philip in South Norwood saying hoodies.
Yes.
Don't you find that really embarrassing when it goes off in public? Like it just has.
Well, I kind of like to make a fuss.
I am stunned. I mean, I just don't get this whole ringtones thing.
No.
There was a worker that came round the flat the other day, and his ringtone was somebody wolf whistling really loudly. I mean, can you imagine the embarrassment when that goes off in public? I was stunned. Because it goes off and you think that there's somebody in the room wolf whistling.
Mm. What have you got? Just a normal ring?
Just a ring, yeah, like as close to a phone, like a home phone ring as I could find, yeah. No bells and whistles and tunes or anything like that, just a ring. In fact, most of the time I put it on vibrate, so it don't make no noise at all. And you know what I'd like to have invented? Of all the things in all the world that I would like to have invented, as a £1 trillion idea I didn't have, was the little thing that goes in mobile phones that vibrates. Because somebody came up with that.
Yeah, it is a great idea.
Genius. You'd never have to do anything else for the rest of your life. And here we are, wasting our time doing this, when we could be inventing a tiny little cheap thing that people would use in their millions. Like a paperclip, for instance. Those are the people that are making all the money. Widgets. Or a foil-lined paper box that liquid comes in. The Rousings. Those are the guys with all of the money that Bill Gates doesn't own. Anyway, it's 15 minutes into the new day. We haven't even had a peek at the papers yet. So we'll go away, take a breath, and we'll come right back, yes?
Nick Abbott.
Well, let's get back to it.
First, I've got to take this call because just because of her name and where she comes from. How perfect is this? It's a lady called Betty in Bognor. Oh, Betty?
Oh, yes. Hello, Matt.
Oh, it's you! It's a surprise.
Mr. Rabbit I'm speaking to?
It's a surprise every time you call.
Yeah, good thing. I want to be your ringtone, basically.
Yes?
Can we arrange that, my darling? Could I be your ringtone?
Oh.
I'm sick of Philip from South Norwood getting onto someone's ringtone. I think that's entirely unnecessary, basically.
I think what would be good is for you...
How did he do that?
You can't get a word in edgeways. And no matter even if there's a long gap and I start talking, she'll just bulldoze right over me like that. I think the best thing for you to do is to say, hello. Say, no, say hello.
What, in my best Australian accent?
Yes.
Hello. I'm not very good at that sort of Australian. I'm an up-and-coming... Well, I'm not up-and-coming. I've been there, basically. But I'm a woman of quality and refinement, Nick. You know that, you gorgeous thing. Anyway, what have you been up to? Let's get off me for a minute.
Well, what have I been up to? You know what? This has been a pretty uneventful week.
Look, the funny thing is, I've been listening to you for the last hour and a half, and I thought it was a rerun. I would have been ringing in earlier.
Rerun?
I didn't realise you were live.
I have never talked about UFOs in my whole life. In fact, I've always said that that's the last thing I'd want to talk about.
I never look up into the sky, my darling. I can't be bothered. It's ridiculous.
When you're down in the gutter, Betty, you should always look at the stars.
Don't be like that, sweetheart. That's a bit unnecessary. You're dragging me down.
So you're upset about Steve Irwin, right?
Oh, devastated, my darling. I tell you what, I'm glad I didn't sell all those crocodile handbags on eBay. I'll be keeping them now. They'll go up.
Were you wearing the khaki?
Well, I wear khaki underwear sometimes.
You
They're
do?
old army rejects, but that's only out in the garden and that sort of thing. In the privacy of my own beautiful home, my darling. I wouldn't wear them on the street.
Right, in the privacy of your privy, yeah.
Exactly. No, I think it's entirely unnecessary, my darling. You teased the animals, and I didn't like that. I'm an animal lover, as you know, Nick.
Now, when you say animal lover...
I'm talking about some previous partners, basically. Here tonight. Hello?
Yes, I'm with you, yeah.
No, of course I'm an animal lover. I love a cat, I love a dog. Don't you know? Oh, my God, what was that?
It was an ass.
Oh, you're getting very naughty late at night, my darling.
How about a cockatoo?
I prefer a cockatoo to a lark, I don't mind saying, Nick.
So what have you been up to then this week, Betty?
I've been flitting around, my darling. You know what, life's pretty busy these days. I'm in and out of the country.
What, import?
I'm up in London at the moment.
Import, export, that sort of thing. You're up in London?
I'm up in London at my beautiful elephant apartment, my darling. I wish they'd rename this area. I hate having to tell people I'm from the elephant.
You don't live in the Elephant and Castle.
Well, I do, my darling. It's my London apartment. I'm a Bognor girl, as you know.
Well, I suppose if you come from Bognor, Elephant and Castle seems quite exotic.
Listen, the elephant's going up market over the next 10 years. They're going to pull down the shopping centre after all these years.
It's an up-and-coming area. You want to stick with that flat, Betty?
Yeah, I am, my darling. I'm going to be in the money.
You'll be by this time in 10 years, you'll be a millionaire.
Oh, I don't think so, my darling. Listen, get me on as your ringtone. What do you want me to say for your ringtone?
I want you to say hello again.
Oh, no, I'm not going to say hello. I'm going to say goodbye. It's been lovely talking to you, my darling.
Okay.
Keep up the good work.
Ta-ta. It was Betty from Bognor. That is so spot on. It's perfect. All right, let's get on with it because we're running late. Cherie Blair looks weird on the front page. I mean, she looks... What has she done to herself? On the front page of the Sunday Telegraph, you think, oh yeah, she looks vaguely like Cherie Blair. Who's that? No, it is Cherie Blair. She's, well, she's put on a gigantic amount of weight, hasn't she? Her face looks as round as a football, and the hairstyle doesn't help. Well, can you see it from there?
Sort of, yeah.
She looks...
Well,
plump.
sort of...
Like, jowly. And she's got a sword. She has. She's wielding an epi. Why? I don't know. It's front page of the Sunday Telegraph. Muslim leader warns of 2 million British terrorists. Britain could face a threat of 2 million homegrown Islamic terrorists, said Mohammed Abdul Bari.
Oh, no.
2 million? We thought it was 2,000. Great. Bicycle bell crackdown. Nobody has a bicycle bell in this country anymore, do they? In Holland, you go to Holland and people are forever ringing their bells, and they've loosened them. Have you been to Holland?
I haven't, no, but I know that happens.
They've got a special sound over there. They're not tight bells that go pring. They've sort of unscrewed the top a bit so that it has it's like a loose bell, like it's
more relaxed.
Yeah, like it's stoned. Labour plans to bring in new laws requiring every bicycle to have a bell and every cyclist to use it to alert pedestrians to their presence, as opposed to the horn. You're not supposed to use the horn. Well, if you read the Green Cross, not the Green Cross, read the driving manual. Yeah, exactly. You're not supposed to use the horn, really, ever. You're not supposed to use it to warn people or to tell people that they can go, you know, you can't...
Move off from the lights?
Yeah, or wave them in front of you or anything like that.
Or after 11 o'clock at night?
Yeah, in fact, there's almost pointless putting it in a car at all because you're not supposed to use it ever.
So what's it for, then?
I've got no idea.
Oh. Well...
Beeping along in time with the music. No, apparently not. Well, only if you're going to crash into them. I think it's something.
I think it's required if you drive around Hyde Park Corner.
Those found guilty of riding without a bell will face, guess what? That's right, an on-the-spot fine. I swear, their entire day is spent trying to come up with ways in which to fine us. This is ludicrous. Guess how much? £2,500.
For not having a bell?
Yes.
Is this a Ken thing?
And 2 years in jail.
Oh, stop
I'm reading it from the front page of the Sunday Telegraph, yes.
That's ridiculous.
And what are they giving away? Hang on, they must be giving away something. Everybody is. A free CD of the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. Big deal. £1.80. You know, the Sunday Times has gone up to £2. £2 now.
Has it?
Yeah. And last week, I went through the whole of the main paper. I've yet to get to it this week, and there wasn't a single solitary interesting thing in the whole of the main news section. And I said on the air, you know, it's a good job they got A.A. Gill and Jeremy Clarkson, who are writing columns. And you know who was away? A.A. Gill. I hate when that happens. I mean, he only writes 2 columns, right? One's for TV and one's for restaurants. How the hell can he be away? I mean, he eats out every night of the week. He famously never cooks at home. He always eats out. So all he's got to do is write 500 words or whatever it is about, you know, not much at all, when hardly even mentions the restaurant. Just, you know, witty stuff that comes off the top of his head. And now he's got a restaurant column. How can he be away? I mean, how can he be away? I don't get it. I mean, he only writes 1 a week for the Sunday Times.
He could have stockpiled a few, couldn't he?
Exactly. Yes, he could just send 2 and say, I'm off to wherever he's going. Or he could have just phoned 1 in from wherever he is. I mean, we don't care what restaurant it is, just as long as he makes us laugh, right? I was outraged. I've spent all that money on a paper and there wasn't anything in it. Anyway, the Daily Star, Sex Factor, Pop Wannabes defy booze and nookie ban. This is what you want from your Sunday red top. And on the front page is a woman who I've never seen before in my life. And she takes up most of the front page, so she must be famous, and she's called Jen. You know who that is? No.
Is it, Jennifer...
Yeah, you're going...
is it that, oh, come on, give us a clue.
A clue? I don't know who she is. How could
Jennifer
I possibly give you a clue?
Ellison, that's who I'm thinking of, yeah.
Jennifer Ellison is the right answer. Who's that?
She was in a soap. I can't remember. It's either Corrie or Emmerdale.
God.
And then she did a reality programme, the chef one with Gordon Ramsay. You know, with and James Dreyfus was in it as well, where they all did the...
Shut up. Who's James Dreyfus?
He's an actor. He was in Gimme Gimme Gimme.
Jennifer Ellison's engagement to Tony Richardson. Who's that?
I don't know.
You don't know what I mean? You see what I mean? I don't know who anybody is anymore. Is this just a factor that have been ancient now?
I don't know.
Relatively
I did quite well.
old.
I got one of them.
Well, yes, but you're half my age. I mean, you're just fresh out of school, aren't you? Practically.
I'd like to think.
On the other side of this page is, I Forgive You, is the headline. Naz victim calls a truce. Shame Nassim Hamed has been forgiven by the motorist he crippled. Can you believe that? I wouldn't forgive him. I'd sue him into a black hole in space. I'd spend my every waking minute trying to get every penny that Nassim Hamed has ever earned. Just for vindictive reasons. Plus, you'd want the money.
Wasn't he drunk as well at the time?
I'm not sure that that's actually true. Better take that back.
Oh, no. Sorry.
Well, you did question it, and I'm slapping you down. You're totally out of control, Lucy. It's a good job I'm here, the voice of reason. Can you believe that I'm the voice of reason?
What?
The ex-world champion boxer, 32, was banged up in jail for not very long for nearly killing Anthony Bergen in a horror car smash. And you know what, the thing that did occur to me when we saw pictures of this is how very well that Mercedes McLaren is made. Because the bonnet was ripped off right enough, but the car itself was in perfect condition. It hadn't been shortened or it didn't seem to be damaged severely in any way. And Nassim Hamed got out of it without a scratch. The other car was like cubed up like it had been crushed. So that was £330,000 well spent. It's just a thought that I had at the time. Well, you know, you think these things when you see, two cars colliding. He sparked fury when Nassim Hamed came out swaggering and climbed into a Rolls-Royce with a stretched Land Rover, or Range Rover. It was a stretched Range Rover, wasn't it? Something I'd never seen before. He was lauding it up. You have a confused look on your face, Luce.
Well, did they make it especially for him?
I've got no idea. I think they hired it.
How peculiar.
Last night, Mr. Bergen's solicitor, Jane Wright, said he's not at all vindictive about Hamed. Huh. But the manner in which he left prison did distress him. Every major bone in Mr. Bergen's body was broken when Hamed's 300 grand McLaren Mercedes SLR smashed head-on into his VW Golf at 90 miles an hour. despite forgiving Hamed, is still pursuing a multi-million-pound claim against the ex-boxer who is thought to have a fortune of around 70 million. Podgy, father of 3, Hamed, meanwhile, has told pals he'd like to get back into the sport, but this time as a coach. Right, so he's forgiven him, but he's still going to sue him. Good on you, mate. Take him for every penny he's got. But what is this Sex Factor wannabes? Page 4 and 5. Can you even wait? Factor Funsters defy sex ban for boot camp orgy. This is in The Observer. No, it's not. It's The Star. X Factor's boot camp got an injection of the SEX Factor after lusty wannabes sneaked into one another's rooms for raunchy romps. Not just sex, it's raunchy romps in their love nests. Yeah! Oh, I'm exhausted. The Sunday Express. You see what I was saying earlier on when the papers were flailing around trying to find somebody to come up with to replace Princess Di? Well, they found someone. Princess Di, who appears on at least half of the front page of the Daily Express, a free DVD inside, Her Final Tragic Days, An Amazing Legacy, Part 2 of a 2-disc set. They're still flogging that. Brown is to tax eating out. Gordon Brown plans to take a 10% tip on every meal. Oh, Struth, now we won't even be able to do that. Not only isn't it 17.5% tax, which is outrageous in itself. I mean, you go to America and sales tax will be 5%. You know, your local sales tax will be more or less 5%. Some states it'll be 4, some states it'll be 6. Here, 17.5%. Are we stunned yet?
It's a lot higher in other European countries, isn't it?
It is? Well, I don't care. We're talking about us. They can go and do whatever it is they like. It's our misery that I'm concerned with. Right, so that's the Sunday Express. They're still going on about Princess Di. The Sunday Times has raised its cover price, and it's hidden it in the farthermost reaches of the front page. So you'd virtually need a magnifying glass to see the cover price of the Sunday Times, because they bamboozled us by changing the look of it. It all looks a bit, I don't know, looks a bit odd. I'm one of those people, just like everybody else, who hates change, and the front page of the Sunday Times seems to have changed. What would be a good change is if they stopped the ink from rubbing off on your fingers. I think it's only the Daily Mail that... why doesn't everybody... If they can do it, why can't everybody else? I hate that. Because, you know, one day they're going to say, sorry about this, but, you know everyone's dropping dead of cancer? Yeah, it's the ink that we've been putting on our papers that rubs off on your fingers and seeps through your skin into your bloodstream. I mean, it can't be good for... Oh, yeah, come on. Oh, yeah,
wash your
right.
hands.
Yes, but not before it seeps through your skin.
Come
I know,
on.
that's ridiculous, isn't it? I must be out of my mind. You'll say the same about the stuff that you slather under your...
I knew you... Under your armpits. Well,
yes.
I've heard that's a load of old nonsense as well.
You heard from who? The manufacturers of the stuff that you slather under your armpits?
I've read many articles now.
Yeah,
that
on the internet, was it?
No, it wasn't on the internet, actually. There's been a beauty handbook written.
Oh, Struth.
Yeah, and that said that it's fine, and there's nothing to prove that it could cause cancers, putting...
yeah, that's what John Gummer said when he fed his kid a hamburger all those years ago. Do you remember that? Yeah, nothing to prove otherwise, and so on and so forth. When we all drop dead, then we'll, you know, when I drop dead, then I'll be able to say, I told you so.
But you won't know, will you? Because you don't use it, do you?
I guarantee that one day I will drop dead.
Well, yes.
And it'll be your fault, Lucy.
Thanks.
And on that note, we must part, but briefly.
We're arrived not a moment too soon.
When do we start?
Tonight.
Good. I'd like to get in, get on with it, get it over with and get out. Get it?
Got it.
Good.
Yeah, so the Sunday Times is now £2. It's the first paper in this country that has ever had the nerve to charge you £2 in order to open it up. Brown met plotter behind Blair coup. This guy who organised the resignations, right? Gordon Brown met one of the key Labour rebels demanding Tony Blair's resignation just a day before the plotter's letter was delivered to Downing Street, which may or may not be a coincidence. And, you know, who cares? I mean, this whole thing is... you know... I mean, can you even be bothered anymore? It's...
boring!
It's just so boring. What are they giving away, by the way? They're giving away a free CD of Jimi Hendrix Live and Wild at the Albert Hall. And if there's one thing about Jimi Hendrix that you don't want to hear, it's him live. Because it was pretty painful, let's face it. I mean, be honest, Jimi Hendrix Live is virtually unlistenable.
You think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on record, it's okay. Well, some of it is exceptionally good,
What's on
of course.
vinyl?
What?
You mean on vinyl?
On vinyl.
MP3?
Well, I just call it, record. That's just the generic term from people at my age who grew up sniffing vinyl. And, but live, I can't think of many live Hendrix tracks that are actually not painful to listen to. So anyway, that's what they're giving away. The Daily Mail is giving away David Attenborough, the Wildlife Collection.
Oh, that's good, isn't it?
Well, not for people who went out and bought the whole thing in the first place. From the BBC. It should have been free, mind you, because we paid for it.
But it was free anyway to watch, wasn't it? What the hell? Shake your head at me.
Gordon, the Golf Hotel plotter, on the front page of the Daily Mail, who are furious about, everything, actually. Gordon held a secret meeting in Scotland with the Labour Minister. Now, here, in the Sunday Times, they just met. In the Mail, it was a secret meeting. Oh, I just can't be bothered doing that anymore. The News of the World. Tarrant marriage crisis. Chris Tarrant's marriage is in crisis. TV host Chris Tarrant's marriage is near collapse after he snogged a busty blonde in a bar. The Who Wants to Be a Millionaire star yelled, "This is the woman I want to be the next Mrs. Tarrant." What? Friends say his furious wife is now thinking of leaving him. Well, so that's what they say on the News of the World, and other papers have that too. It's 50-50 whether they stay together. Huh. And you have to get to, let me see how far you have to get in for Gordon Brown. I mean, is there a single picture of that man that actually makes him look nice? I mean, people, it's almost like, the Teletubby that's Deputy Prime Minister. What's his name? Prescott, yeah. How soon you forget. It's not a good picture of him either. Not one single picture has ever made that man look nice. I mean, does he actually smile, ever? Even in the presence of his secretary? Gordon Brown's the same. He's got this sort of, I don't know, it's just
sweaty look.
This unlikable mien. Macca's secret £40 million summit in the woods. Oh, no, you mean they're not going to fight it out? Rock legend Sir Paul McCartney has offered Heather Mills a £40 million divorce deal to buy her silence, the News of the World can reveal. Don't do it, Heather. It's not worth it. Go for the lot, dear. She could get 400 million. Well, 40 million, you can barely buy a yacht with that. No, go on, take him to America and take him to the cleaners. Am I the only one who doesn't think that Paul McCartney is the second coming of Jesus? Because this whole country seems to be totally in love with that man, and I'm just mystified by that.
I think it's more that they dislike Heather so much.
Why, though? No one knows anything about her, other than that she had a horrible...
She doesn't need 40 million, does she?
Well, neither does Paul McCartney need the 13 million that they're going to sue EMI for.
Yeah, but that's
yes.
a different matter, isn't
yes. You have to get to page 13 before you see anything even remotely close to a naked boob. They're slipping. Sunday Mirror are giving away... Oh, blimey. This one's going to be left in the shops. The Sunday Mirror are giving away Spot the Dog videos. And it's not even in the paper. You have to go to Summerfield to get it. Oh, they really are on their uppers, aren't they? Posh and Beck's £300,000 maze at their house, which they're calling a love hedge.
Well, they've had one built in their garden.
One moment, please. David and Victoria Beckham are building a £300,000 love maze in their back garden. Real Madrid star David and one-time Posh Spice have hired top landscapers to erect the Infinity Maze in the grounds of Buckingham Palace. It will make the 24-acre garden the mansion's one of Britain's costliest. Huh. They just don't have any idea what to do with their money, do they? They've got no clue as to... they haven't got any idea. But then what does Paul McCartney do with his money? What does he do with it? I mean, perhaps he's done the right thing and we don't know. Perhaps he's given it all away to charity. Do we think so?
No.
And finally, in this segment, this is from the Peephole, who also lead with TV Tarrant's Marriage in Crisis. Bungling builder Liam Griffiths made a brilliant job of repairing a roof. Liam, 19, worked for 5 hours making sure he fixed every tile perfectly. He was admiring the results when the homeowner returned from shopping and told him that he should have been working on the house next door. Luckless Liam said, "My boss told me where the house was, and I was sure I took it all in, but obviously I hadn't quite." Now he's being docked £50 a week from his £400 wages to make up the £1,000 in lost time and materials. Oh. The saga of the toil and error, see, get it? Oh, they spent weeks on this. Started when the keen teenager knocked at the door to say he'd arrived, and started work anyway when he got no reply. This reminded me of, you ever see that Laurel and Hardy one where they have an argument with a man, and he hits their car, and so they break his window, and then he smashes the front headlights on their car, and then they bash in his door, and he hits their car so that it collapses in a heap, and they completely wreck his house and knock it down. Do you ever see that?
No.
Well, apparently they'd organised ahead of time with the man whose house it was, of course, and they'd paid him a substantial amount of money to do this, but they arrived at the wrong address and they knocked down the wrong house. But then that's Laurel and Hardy for you. What a couple of chumps. Right, let's have, hey, it's Tallulah. How you going, Tallulah?
Hi, Steve Allen, how are you?
I'm all right, dear. How's your parrot?
He's okay. But you're in a right mood today.
What do you mean?
Oh, you sound like Steve Allen, even though your name is Nick Abbot.
I sound like Steve Allen?
Yes.
Are you very sure you're not homosexual?
You have a real run to everything about today.
No, I've been in a fine mood. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, it comes across the radio waves a bit different.
Does it?
I wonder, yeah.
Hey, Lucy, have I been in a bad mood today?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe you're in a bad mood, Tallulah.
Oh, never.
Never?
I'm never in a bad mood.
Well, that's just not normal.
Well, maybe I don't notice when I'm in a bad mood.
But does your parrot?
Well, Budgie, he's what? In the moment he's in a bad mood because he's waiting for his food. But you know what? Today I was thinking about the Tony Blair thing, and I came up with exactly the same idea that you gave over a few minutes, an hour ago, or something like this.
What?
That people just want to have a change for no real reason.
Yeah.
And I thought exactly like that, and I thought, oh, hang on, you just handle that like you want a new car, and that's not very good reason at all.
That's right. I mean, there's something in our brains that needs change, whether it be, the clothes that you wear or what you happen to be looking at. I mean, if you stare at... I mean, it's as simple as this. If you stare at a place on the wall for long enough, you don't see it anymore.
Exactly, yeah.
So you need to flick around. I mean, in fact, your eyes, it's such a minute level, this, that your eyes are never actually still, even when you're staring at something. They keep flicking back and forth because they need change to be able to actually see something. Like, for instance, if you touch the back of your hand with your finger and just leave it there, after a while you don't feel it anymore. Because you don't, unless you are constantly changing, then your senses start to ignore it. And on a macro level, then that's exactly what we've had. We had the same bloke in the top job for such a long time, we just can't stand it anymore.
But I have to say that I ask myself all the time, why do people do this? Because I think, I'm not deeply into politics, but on an average, I can see that he has not done a big deal bad.
Can I make an attempt to say what you meant? Well, it's what you meant that he hasn't actually done a bad job.
Not really, no.
Okay, so did I get that right?
You do, yeah.
Right. So you think he hasn't done a bad job, and so people are unreasonable in their desire to get rid of him, but they just want rid of him anyway. Is that what you're saying?
That's my...
That's your reading.
sense, yeah.
Right. Your sixth sense. Is that what you said?
Honestly, because... Well, yeah.
Right.
Do you agree or disagree?
Do I agree that he's done not a bad job?
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to come up with a definitive answer to that because we can't compare him to anybody else. We'd have to go into a parallel universe where another person was presented with the same circumstances and contrast and compare. But
the overall aura, the presentation, if you click all the points where you say, well, everybody does make mistakes, and he owns up to it, and but my instinct is telling me, what the hell is he so bad about? There's nothing,
Yeah, but your instinct is also that you want someone else, right?
No, not me. I'm not that sort of person. That's why I'm bringing up that subject.
Right.
Because you can sensitize yourself and saying, well, actually, I don't really need a new car. Because my car that I have is good. It's okay.
Yeah, but you're the kind of person who never experiences a bad mood. So you're, well, what's the word? Weird.
Because I'm yin-yang. I'm well-balanced.
Yeah, you're all yin, you are. You want to get some yang.
But definitely MP3 files are better, worse quality because they are compressed files.
Is the right answer. Yeah, they're compressed. They lop the top and the bottom off.
Exactly, but it's a good compromise if you want to have it on a go.
Well, I guess so, but you could always use lossless media file, like WMA or one of those things. But let's not go down this. Like Lucy's screwing her eyes up and shaking her head. You're losing her, Tallulah.
Well, I just wanted to answer the question, that's all. We can leave it there.
Rightio.
Okay.
Okay.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll indeed. Thanks a lot, dear. Ta-da, that was Tallulah. I can't believe that someone doesn't ever get in a bad mood. That's not possible, is it? I mean, that's just too happy for words.
Especially for a woman.
Here's David in Wallington and Carshalton.
Hi, Nick.
Both places?
Yes, both. Sorry.
What's up, David?
I'm all right. Hello to Tallulah there.
Yeah. Okay, so what's up?
And, sorry, you got to bear with me. Got a bad throat. So, I wanted to ask you, about music.
Yeah.
About Yes.
About Yes?
Yes, about John Anderson and people like that.
Right.
What are your views on people like that?
On people like that?
Well, the group Yes.
What's my opinion on the group Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just bought Close to the Edge. That's the one with And You and I on it, right? And it's properly remarkable
you've only
piece.
just bought that one?
Yes, I'm catching up. Well, I don't own everything, you know.
What about Pink Floyd?
Well, Pink Floyd, of course, I own almost everything from Echoes onwards.
Mm-hmm. From Syd Barrett?
No, I prefer it when they got, hippy-trippy.
Oh, right, yeah. Bit strange, that era, wasn't it?
Yes, it was very odd. But my absolute favourite... This is one of Yes's best. Prog rock at its finest. That was one of Focus' very best. This is LBC. Let's go with Frankie in Croydon. Oh, Frankie?
Hello, mate. How you doing?
I'm all right.
Cool. Yeah, Steve Irwin.
Yeah.
You screw around with animals like that, what do you expect?
Well, I know. I mean, that's what I always thought about Steve Irwin, and I wasn't aware that the whole world was totally in awe and in love with Steve Irwin, particularly Australia, and I'm kind of amazed at this outpouring of grief, because...
Well, I think he's actually done a lot of good, but... You know what I mean? It's going to happen.
He pissed animals off for a living.
Yeah.
Yes, it's basically what he did.
A man who goes and pokes a snake with a stick.
Yeah, or jumps on the back of a crocodile.
Exactly, and goes, Struth, look at this.
Yes.
You know? But, fantastic bloke. But,
No, was he a fantastic bloke? Because there's this famous picture of him with his, with a baby in one arm, and feeding a gigantic crocodile a piece of chicken with the other. That's not a great bloke, that's an idiot.
No, a bit of a knob.
I mean, that's a Michael Jackson moment, isn't it?
Exactly.
Like hanging your baby over a balcony, that's just plain stupid.
Yeah, how it was, yeah. But, you know, it's, he did do some good.
Well, apparently, yeah. So you read, yeah.
But saying that, the Australian tourist board are actually a bit upset with him, because they said that he should have worn the old Factor 30, because that would have protected him against the harmful rays.
Oh ho ho! These are the jokes, folks. That was an Australianism that he came out with there. He said he was a bit of a what? This is LBC.
Abbott.
Come on, we're running late.
It's Aid who can get laid.
Hello, Nick. How you doing?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, product release dates. I mean, you're aware of this games console that's supposed to be coming out in November? You did rival to the other one. Did I mention the name?
I'm sorry, I've got no idea what you're talking about. It's
the new games console, the PlayStation, the new one.
You know what? I know precious little about the world of games. Being useless at them, I've kind of avoided them.
Yeah, I mean, the point is, it's supposed to be released in November, and it's been put off, twice now.
Oh, yeah, this is is this the thing that's going to have the Blu-ray DVD player in it? In it,
yeah.
Right. This is the next generation of DVD players that we're all going to not rush out and buy because they haven't decided which format's going to be, which will win yet. It's a Betamax versus VHS war all over again. And you know what? I think they're flogging a dead horse because by the time that they have decided who's won, nobody's going to be playing DVDs at all. Everything's going to be piped in on the internet, and we'll be watching TV direct from the internet, and it's going to be absolutely pointless, useless. And people are going to get their DVDs from rental companies, right? These companies that you get DVDs posted to you, and I am sick to death of the company that I am with. Absolutely, I'm at my wit's end with them, because I can't remember the last DVD they sent me that I could actually play. You know, if it doesn't stop and judder to a halt in the first 5 minutes, it'll do it in the last 5 minutes.
Oh,
which just drives me out of my mind. And you write to them and you tell them, and they just write a nice letter back or an email back saying, thank you for your comments. We hope you are enjoying our service. Basically, they must get so many people telling them this, they just can't be bothered anymore. So I think I will cancel my subscription.
They don't care, but are you stuck with it for a certain amount of time?
Well, you know what? I foolishly just signed up for another 6 months.
Great.
But I literally cannot remember the last one that they sent that didn't judder to a halt at some point in the movie. And it's for two reasons. First of all, the method that they use to clean the CDs is wrong. They tell you, quite rightly, you're supposed to clean it from the inside out, right? From the hole in the middle, in a straight line to the edge of the disc, and then go all the way around. But they clean it. They must have some mechanical way of cleaning it that just turns the DVD, because you can see fine round scratches on everything they send you.
Nice.
Right.
You know what?
Go on.
You know what I just tried? I had a DVD that kept going stuck when I bought myself, and I tried one of these fabulous things. You spend about a tenner on. You just pull it in, spin it round. It did absolutely nothing. And somebody on an internet forum said try metal polish, you know, the famous metal polish begins with B, and you know...
What, Brasso?
Yeah.
Really?
I tried that, rubbed it off, you can still see it smeared a bit, but it worked fine, and it cost about, what, £1.50 for that.
Is that a fact? Brasso cures scratches on DVDs. Huh.
And it might only cure minor, it probably won't cure great crevices, but... Yeah, it certainly worked on mine.
Well, you know what? I'm going to give it a go, and I don't care if they do. If they don't like it, I'm gonna, because it's just infuriating.
Hey Nick, I've got something to tell you before I do go. I've got a confession. I'm coming down to London, hopefully, next week.
You don't need to confess that. Lots of people come to London.
Yeah, but it's what I'm going to do that is a bit of a confession.
Oh, yeah. Well, hanging around Euston. Mm-hmm. Back streets of King's Cross, I see.
No, I'm going to a David Hasselhoff book signing.
What? A David Hasselhoff book signing? Oh, my God. What? What book has the Hoff written?
It's written his autobiography.
Right. And where's this going to be taking place?
Well, there's a couple in London. There's one at Oxford Circus, and there's one at Brent Cross. And the Brent Cross one is bringing the Kit Kat with him.
There seems to be some resurgence. Maybe he never went away and I just wasn't aware of it. But David Hasselhoff is all over everywhere lately. What is that? Like he's on ads on the TV, and Lucy's keen to
He's got
interject.
a new single out as well.
Oh, Struth.
Yeah.
And what's that like? Is it better than the new Robbie Williams single?
It can't be no worse.
No, you got that right. Yeah, that new Robbie Williams single, that makes me want to pull my teeth out. That is hip hop music for secretaries. No offence to secretaries, but awful.
Yeah, but I mean, I know you've got a sort of hate for the Blake, but you ought to try and watch episode of Night Rider and Bravo.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that just as soon as I watch Starsky and Hutch or the Dukes of Hazzard, which is to say, never.
If I tell you people will phone in about it, will you watch it?
No. Yeah, right. No, I'm not going to fall for that again. You must think I'm stupid. So you're going to come down, and what do you want to have him? If you could have your wish, what would you have him write to you in his book? You haven't given it much thought.
Just to Adrian from Michael Knight or something.
And what is this obsession with? Because it's not him, right? It's the show Knight Rider specifically. Because weirdly, you don't like Baywatch. You don't like him for Baywatch.
Baywatch is it's just soft porn, isn't it?
Yeah, well, all those wet women running slowly towards the camera.
Yeah, well, you can get a subscribe to an adult channel or something.
I suppose so, yeah.
But, the Night Rider show, it's, action and stuff are different. And it's not just about him,
it's about the car. Yeah, well, what about the Sweeney? I mean, the Sweeney was about the car as well, a brown Granada. It didn't speak mine, but,
it wouldn't do anything.
It did feature large in the show.
Well, wouldn't you like a car that could drive you around it?
and talk back.
Well, probably not in reality, but especially if it's done by Microsoft.
Yeah, then it would always be crashing, yes. Well, I wish you the best, Aid. When are you going to go and see him?
Hopefully Monday. I mean, my bum's a bit ill at the moment, so I'm just seeing how it goes with that, but,
Did you say your bum's a bit ill?
My mother.
Oh, your mum! Right. Well, you wouldn't want to have an accident in front of the Hoff. But the best of luck with that, all right?
No, but afterwards, probably we can go down to the pub for a pint of 20.
Yeah, well, I'll join you there.
Okay, then.
All right, ta-da.
Bye-bye.
Unfortunately, he didn't tell me what pub, but, I'll just pick one at random. Let's have Forest Hill. Hello, Tony.
Hi there, how you doing, mate?
I'm all right, thanks.
I'm just eating some crisps at the moment.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, I was planning to talk about Seb Coe and Tony Woodward have teamed up for the Olympics.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's a really good thing. I think, not Tony Underwood, Clive Woodward, sorry. I think Clive Woodward has got a lot to offer because, he's won the World Cup with the rugby team and he knows how sportsmen should be geared up to win.
Do you mean that they've teamed up in order to help our athletes win more medals?
Yes, yeah.
Right.
And they brought Clive Woodward in, and I think that's really good.
Well, it might be nice if we got more than, one. Wouldn't that be great if we actually won something?
Athletics is is in a really bad state at the moment.
Well, I don't think we can do sports. We're not particularly good at sports in this country. Don't you think it's weird that in Australia, which has a population of, 6, they win absolutely everything compared to us, us pallid, puffy wimps over here who can't throw a ball. We throw balls like girls.
And they, they take
no offence to girls.
Don't they, the Australians, don't they? They make us look silly.
They do. They make us look like silly weeds. Yeah.
But what about when we won the Rugby World Cup, though?
Well, that's rugby. No one's interested in rugby, just like no one cares about cricket.
It's a shame. It's a very good sport, rugby. I think football could take a lot
rugby, a lot of steroidal freaks running into each other. What kind of a game is that?
Well, I think I like the discipline. I think if they put a bit of the discipline from rugby into football, football would be a very different game.
They speak proper, you can say that. But anyway,
they've all got good jobs.
Exactly. But thanks, Tony. I've got to go. All right.
Okay, mate.
Ta-da.
Wonderful. Forest Hill. See you soon.
Cheers. Bill Buckley's coming up after the news, but first, this story of a Japanese man arrested after trying to steal a mannequin from a display window and claimed that it was love at first sight. He was arrested at 3 o'clock, allegedly trying to remove a dummy from a display in a community centre. The newspaper reported that it was love at first sight, he said. He intended to carry the mannequin home, but gave up the plan after he looked closer and became disillusioned with the dummy's beauty. I had a doll once. They could be so disappointing. It got a puncture. What a letdown.